the madhouse.
Cheers to episode 41.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, Joe Mixon played today.
Water.
Ditto.
Ditto. First ditto of the podcast.
Tonight is Sunday, October 10th.
2021.
Thank you, Alex. 7:57 p.m. and we are 5 weeks into the Dan Campbell Detroit Lions regime, and he's already crying.
Waterworks.
The tears are out 5 weeks in. What do you guys think about that?
I don't care. Move on.
I think it's ridiculous. But I'm not going to. I like Dan Campbell, but you can't be crying.
You know, I saw it, and
He didn't really cry.
I think he cares more about his players than he actually does the outcome of the game. I think it was the emotion for he cares about his locker room. Not like, oh, he's crying because we lost. No, he's crying because of the emotions from the players. I'm sure some players were emotional after the game after we blew it, but we shouldn't.
But also,
shouldn't even been in the game.
It's the NFL. I don't really think we should be crying.
I know.
I get mad when people cry in high school sports.
I'm super conflicted on it because it makes me want him to succeed more, and I'd love to play for him because I feel like he really cares. You know what? I'm cool with it. You can't do it just this time. You can't do it really again this season. I'm cool with it this time.
I do love that he cares.
I'm cool with it this time.
Yeah.
No more times this season.
No crying.
But
can't be crying.
That's my coach, and I'm going to back him up even more. I'm really pulling for them to win next week. I'm not going to be one of those negative Lions fans that roots for this whole thing to come crumbling down.
Like Evan.
Because if you just think about Poncho Man, how Poncho Man would have handled his press conference in this situation last year, probably would have called reporters idiots and said it's the players' fault for not doing our schemes. It might be embarrassing nationally to have your coach crying, wearing his hat off his head sideways, looking disheveled, but he's our coach. Besides that, before we get into more of the actual game, how was everyone's week/weekend leading up until this Sunday, from last Sunday?
My week was boring. As everyone that listens regularly, they probably realize I have a boring life.
It's pretty much how you start every single.
I don't do anything fun during the week. It's pretty just standard routine, work, sleep. And this weekend, what did I do? Friday? What did I do Friday? Did I do anything Friday? No, I watched Squid Game. Yeah, the new Netflix.
The show sweeping the country.
Watched 4 or 5 episodes of that.
That I don't like.
It's very weird. I don't know if I like it.
Evan, have you seen it?
No. I'm so far behind. I just figured out what all the memes are related to, and it was actually Squid Game today.
Yeah, it's a weird show.
It's something.
I don't even know if I recommend it.
Sorry. That's on me. Birth control.
Birth control. Oh, sorry. 8 o'clock.
So I watched that on Friday, and then Saturday I went to another wedding. So that is now 2 weeks in a row. This wedding was smaller than last week's. No jeans at this wedding. More standard.
Shame. That's a shame.
First time I've seen when all the bridesmaids, they usually have all the same dresses.
Right.
Yep. Not this one. They all had different colored dresses. I thought it was different. Interesting. Never seen it. So that was interesting. Friend of the program was in the wedding.
First and last name drop. That's a bleep. That's a bleep for those coming at home.
Mary was in the wedding. And she was belligerent afterwards. You can keep that out too. That was pretty funny. And then after the wedding, I got back to my humble apartment to watch Grant on Till watching the Nebraska game, and I almost pushed Nebraska to a win on accident, and then helped Michigan win the game. So Michigan fans should thank me. And then today I didn't do anything except watch football. That's all I do on Sundays. So standard weekend.
I'll go second because I have some questions for Evan because I'm most excited to hear his recap.
About.
Let's see. So Monday, a lot of late night work shifts this week, which was new. Was adjusting to that in my life. Kind of weird. I was pretty tired. Probably a lack of sleep as well, which will show in this show. Like Alex said, watched the Squid Game show, I guess, on Friday. Jamar Chase scored again.
Yeah, he's really good.
My goodness. Sorry, guys.
I'm
all over the place. We're doing the fastest 2 minutes on SNF right now. Anyways, Saturday, interesting life experience. Made my own candle,
Oh, I did that too.
which Alex did as well.
I forgot about that.
Just some apple picking weekend type activities, which were done before football started because we're not
We
simps.
did not miss football.
Not simps. Hashtag not simps. Made a candle, and I actually really enjoyed it. I don't know if you want to take my man card or not for that. It was a very relaxing experience. But I don't think my nose works super great. Like, I don't think I have good sense of smell.
I felt the same. Also, Evan, I think you would have loved making your own candle. I think you would have made a very nice smelling candle.
I never have to worry about those activities for a while. So,
Oh, Evan.
No, probably ever, based on how you usually talk.
true, probably ever. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What are your favorite scents that you like, Evan?
If you bought a candle, Evan, what would you buy?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Pumpkin? You're false.
No.
Smell?
Well,
Like a
no, because the fake pumpkin smell isn't as traditional as like a pumpkin pie smell. So no, I'm out.
Okay.
like
Aftershave.
Are you you want to hear a weird theory about candles?
Yes, yes, I do.
Let's get weird.
So there's a theory out there for candles saying that they just like all the year before, so the following year, all the ones that aren't bought, they just take off the labels and then just put a new name on it and rebrand it as a different smell. And it tricks your brain because you read it first before you smell it, and it's trying to trick your brain about it's going to be that smell. So they're just reusing all the candles.
I think you broke Grant's brain.
So you're saying like if there was a ocean scented candle, let's say there was an ocean scented candle called like
Sea breeze.
Sea Breeze,
Yep.
and then let's say there was ones left over, and they rename it the next year, they'd call it like
Salted caramel. And you fall
No, it's
for
got to
it?
be somewhere
So,
related.
yeah, I'm trying to think like a
Sandy beach.
360.
like Sandcastle or like
Yeah.
a day at the beach or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's more, yeah, because sometimes honestly candles are more about the name, the fancy name they put on it that makes you think you're at some place as opposed to what they actually smell like.
Hmm.
But the gist was you smell a bunch of different flavors on this big wall and you write down which ones that you like the best. And then you sit down at this like bar and people help you with like, I guess candles are just like essential oils, at least this place. You just put oils in it and then it melts the wax in it. So you basically just like would mix and match oil wise what flavors you like the best to create your own. And that part was fun. The results could have been better. Like I feel like mine smelled super strong and good in the moment. And then when I got it and lit it, it didn't really smell that strong.
I think mine turned out pretty good.
So overall, it was interesting. I don't know. It was like a 30 to 45 minute process. People that worked there were super nice. So it was all right.
It was something.
And then Saturday, pretty standard day of watching football. And then as the night progressed with the Michigan game on, got more and more drunk as the night went on because it became a very stressful game. So by the end of the game was pretty buzzed and enjoying a riveting game of football.
Your head's in the shot.
My head's in the bookshelf. What a bookworm. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And for you, Evan?
Let's see. This week, Tuesday. Let's start way back on Tuesday. Had our our third IM game.
Okay.
The week you want to be ready to go.
0-2 or 1-1?
0-2 going into this game.
Must
7
win.
o'clock, an early start. We're the first game on the field. We had to watch them set up. And the team that shows up, we're like, oh yeah, guys, we're definitely winning. And Alex, I know you've played IM football before, so you know like the basic rules. You know, you kind of just like show up and you throw the pigskin around, and we'll see who wins. Who's got the better Jimmies and Joes? And the team that we played is huddling, and they turned out that they want to be Army, and they're running motion and like triple option stuff.
No.
And yeah, they huddled, and so like typically like per half, it's 20 minutes running clock. You get like 4 possessions. We got the ball twice. And we had the ball we got the ball first. Yep, first half we got the ball twice. They huddled every single play and took the play clock all the way down.
This isn't going well.
Yeah, we lost 13-6.
Oh my God.
We were probably 1 for 5 in the red zone. Probably 0 for 4 actually, because I think our touchdown was like long. We could just get in the red zone and fumble the back. Yeah, so we're 0-3
Down
going
a
into the
bad
last
path.
game.
Down a bad path.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find something, Evan. You can't be losing
No,
triple option average Joes. They probably
They had face paint. They had colored face paint, red, white, and blue face paint on most of the guys. Yeah.
Wow. But they weren't good. They just ran fancy.
They physically couldn't throw the ball. They just.
Wow, that's tough.
I would love to interview these kids of like, when was it you guys realized you had no athletes, and so you invented a triple option scheme for
7-on-7
flag football?
Yeah.
My God.
So it's a tough loss on Tuesday. Kind of got, it was tough. It was tough to wake up on Wednesday and realize that we lost to those guys.
Hey, man, everyone makes the playoffs. But you're going to be no buys.
We'll be facing a 1 seed or something like that.
No, you'll probably face a terrible team and then a 1 seed.
Okay. Let's see. Then Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, nothing. Friday, went to the movies. Midday, afternoon was kind of weird.
Are those called
matinees? Hey, one time you want to go to the movies on Friday? And we're like, yeah, let's go in the afternoon. 1:35 time start. We walked into the theaters, and I thought we were in church because the first 2 rows was like everybody was over the age of 65.
What?
Yes.
I think a lot of old people go to the movies during the day.
It was elderly.
I'm just thinking about the movie they were seeing. They think it was like Pierce Brosnan, James Bond?
Yeah, we were watching. I went to go see No Time to Die.
There's no age on movies like that, Grant.
That's a great quote.
A classic movie.
That's a great quote.
One of the name brands. Friday night, went to a hockey game. Spoiler for any diehard Spartan hockey fans, going to be a long season from the product that I saw Friday night.
Hey, they won 5-1 on Saturday.
They won 5. Whatever.
Duncan Keith isn't walking through that door?
No.
No.
Or the
Jeff Orgain in net. Ryan Miller's not in net.
Justin Abdelkader? No.
Yeah, they're not there.
They should be.
Being in the Big Ten, it's going to be difficult. Very difficult. Long season. Saturday and Sunday, I probably sat on my couch for a good 14 hours per day, just watched football and sports every single day.
As you should.
I think this is my first weekend I wasn't doing anything since the summer.
Busy man.
Yeah.
You get those like butt sores from sitting on the couch all day?
No, because like Saturday afternoon football was electric, and when you bet on it, it's even more electric. So like after every big play, you just kind of stand up and down and shout. Yeah. That was it. That's about that week.
Win any huge parlays?
I did put a huge parlay down, and let's see who ruined it. Well, you get caught into these traps and these just crazy records. And I had a really long one, and then I had like a 5-leg parlay. I bet Bowling Green. They're the only team 5-0 against the spread going into Saturday. Laid an absolute egg against the worst team in college football in Akron. Lost my bet just because of that. It was 4 for 5 from that one.
You hate to hear that.
Yeah.
I think it should be
Covers, I had a good week, and now I'm tied for first.
Yeah, you had a great week to bounce back after I took a 3-game lead last week, which I got
Nebraska. I bet Nebraska at 3.5. It covers by half a point. Love to see it.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, I'm never picking Michigan again.
Wow.
Also, the Texas game really effed me.
I had Oklahoma -3.
You got lucky. Yeah. You had a couple lucky covers.
Yeah.
I think my two losses was the Ole Miss bad beat.
Same.
Ole Miss cover, and I picked Virginia Tech.
Is Oklahoma now? This is a more philosophical. Is Oklahoma cover considered unlucky, or is it like a material change in the team when you change a quarterback?
It's kind of sucks that they switched quarterbacks, because if they didn't, I would have safely won. However, smart coaching, and I should have predicted that.
But then if Caleb Williams was announced the starter pregame, would you have bet Oklahoma?
Probably.
Okay.
I think it's a bad beat solely because all they needed was a field goal to win, and then he breaks off a long touchdown to cover the spread and win. Like, if you're a Texas plus 3.5, you're like, okay, they kick a field goal, I still win.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, those 2 games, Michigan and Texas, if we flip those, then I have your record, Evan, and you have mine. So it's just one of those weeks. It's just a 2-man race, though. So that's good to see.
Stay tuned, then. I think
we just split it 50-50,
I'm down.
I think a big thing to note, too, like, people are like, well, they keep saying they don't do anything during the week. Like, once you get in football season, you kind of need nights of doing absolutely nothing to kind of prepare yourself for doing nothing again but watching football on the weekends. Which
We
is
also are busy people.
laughable to some people that you need to like rest during the week to watch more football, but I think there's a point to be made there.
I mean, I haven't had a fully free weekend in a long time.
I mean, my next weekend's going to be super busy, and you're going to hear the story next Sunday. So
Can't wait.
Looking forward to it.
Also, and at some point, I don't know if it'll be next show. I can't guarantee it, but there will be I would say 15-minute debriefing on No Time to Die review. So prepare yourself for that. And if and I don't know, if it's within a week or 2 weeks, we're going full spoilers on it because go see it. And then we'll tell you spoiler alert, but it's going to be a full movie review. Probably one of the few movies we'll ever review on this show. Can't
go see it. It's a must watch.
Planning to.
Go see it with the old people in the front row. All right, let's dive into NFL football. I was telling Alex before the show at about 2:30 today, I feel like I was fully prepared to say that the Lions would not be the leadoff topic of this show because they just looked pathetic and couldn't move the football. And then all of a sudden, why do you always look surprised? Someone's yelling in the background.
I thought it was a dog. I'm like, Evan doesn't have a dog.
No. Is that this team, this Lions we root for, they always find a way to make it interesting. And I can safely say, I don't know, I had on in the side again because I couldn't watch every play. I saw Jared Goff get sacked on a drive. It looked like they had to convert to keep the game going. If you flash forward 30 to 45 minutes and I hear Alex screaming, "We're going for 2 for the win!" And I go, "What?" I flip it off, flip over the tabs. I had a different one up. And I'm watching a DeAndre Swift replay of a touchdown run. And I'm like, they haven't shown the score bug yet. I'm like, okay, going for 2, then kicking an onside kick to get the ball back to go for the win. Nope, we're going for 2 to go for the actual win, and they get it. Alex is going crazy. And I'm like, okay, there's 37 seconds left. You can tell Dan Campbell's nervous on the sideline. He's not celebrating yet. Then you flash forward 30 seconds later, and Alex is screaming, "Oh no, not again, not again." And it happens again. Unbelievable. I'll throw it to you guys again. This is basically explain the game to Grant of how this went. I'll try to find some stats here so I can ask questions off of that. But it was a game we did not expect this team to win, that they hung around again. Just from looking
Everyone should pause. Carrie Underwood's on the TV.
Pay your dues.
God bless her.
But just, I don't know, looking at the box score, I would be surprised at how Detroit's defense performed given the injuries that they've sustained throughout the year. But that's my only observation as a not having watched every snap. How did you guys take away from this game?
Do you want to go first, Evan, or you want me to go first?
Go ahead. I'll just bounce off of you.
All right. I would say number one, the Lions defense played better, and they can thank Minnesota for that. The play calling on Minnesota side was terrible. I don't know what they were trying to do against the Lions. They were getting cute. They were running terrible third down plays. They ran the ball on 3rd and 8 twice.
Kirk Cousins or Taylor Heineke?
Yeah, I don't think it was Kirk Cousins' fault.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I would take Kirk Cousins.
I just want to check in, or keep you questions.
Defensively, it was more. I mean, they played all right, but the Vikings were helping them out. Offensively, Jared Goff is not good.
21 of 35, 203 yards, 1 interception, 4 sacks.
Baby hands struck again.
A fumble, and a 64.3 QB rating.
Which is terrible. The offense, again, this is probably the worst the offense has looked, in my opinion. They could not get anything going. The first drive, they ran the ball well. I thought, maybe, we're going to run the ball well today, and then we just kind of abandoned it, per usual. Didn't get Hockenson involved at all. I don't know if he was just because he was hurt or what, but he had 2 catches in the whole game. Didn't get Swift involved until the very end again, which you see as flashes of excellence at the end of the game with his catches and runs. But we waited all game to do that.
Swift, 11 for 51, 4.6 per carry, a long run of 12. 6
big truck stick, too.
6 targets, 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Caught all 6 of those targets for 53 yards. So a pretty balanced effort out of him as well.
Yeah.
I'll just be the read stats guy off and talking about it. I feel like that's a good role for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. More injuries. Cephas got hurt early in the game.
Interesting.
That was early in the game, wasn't it? Second quarter?
End of the second quarter.
Yeah. So Cephas out now, probably. Then other than that, I mean, it was a pretty boring football game. It was a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of punts. Jack Fox had a nice boot in the game.
It was a 75-yard punt.
If you want to get excited about that.
About what?
Our punter is sweet.
Well, yeah, all pro Jack Fox. Shout out. Top 5, 10. Well, top 10, I think, for all of us, maybe.
Trying to
Close
think.
to.
Kirk Cousins tried to throw a 200-mile-per-hour fastball, went off someone's chest 40 feet into the air into Anzalone's hands.
Kirk Cousins or Taylor Heineke?
Kirk Cousins.
All right, just checking.
Jefferson also was torching our secondary all day, and they just stopped going to him. It was one of the dumbest things.
7 for 124, and I believe he was like 5 for 104 at halftime or something like that.
Not a guy on our team could even stay within a foot of him, and they just completely stopped throwing the ball to him. It was one of the more shocking things.
So
the announcers were like, why are they not throwing him the ball?
That would go to your play calling thing.
Yeah, they just completely went away from Jefferson, and Adam Thielen had 1 catch. So I don't know what...
2, but same idea.
2. He didn't have him until the last drive, or the last 2 drives.
Okay.
So he had 0 most of the game.
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. The Vikings just looked like they wanted to lose the game. They let us hang around as long as we could. We got a big fumble by Jalen Reeves-Maybin at the end of the game. That's how we got back into it.
So positive that I'm taking away is our linebacking core was making plays.
Sort of. The Anzalone interception was super lucky. Does a turnover by like a linebacker take away like 3 missed tackles in a game? Like, what's the ratio there? Because if
it depends on how quality those what the problem of those missed tackles. Like, you could miss a tackle and you busted one off for a touchdown, or you just miss a tackle and then the next guy comes and makes the tackle.
Yeah. There's good missed tackles if you're slowing them down in like the backfield.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bad missed tackle by Barnes late in the game. Madison's longest run.
That was
missed a tackle, and the hole kind of dove at his ankles.
Could have been
that's a bad missed tackle.
Could have been a 1 or 2 yard gain and turned into like 50. So that was a really bad missed tackle. Thought the game was over at that point. Thought the game was over basically the whole time because couldn't move the ball. Another red zone interception too for Jared Goff.
It was in the red zone.
It was at like the 15-yard line.
You can't have those. Those are like rookie QB turnovers.
Red zone efficiency ever since
I don't agree with that play call. It was a play action 2-man route, and he tried to throw it over the middle. Kendricks did one-hand the interception. It was pretty nice.
True.
But you're targeting Hodge on this play. It just – I thought the play calling was bad today.
It also, I'm starting to realize it doesn't help that the playmakers on the Lions past Hawkinson and Swift and I guess Williams are really
You're just starting to realize that?
I mean, you just see it today, and then when Cephas goes out, and you have Daryl Hodge and Trinity Benson are your receivers.
No, his name's Daryl. I think it's something else.
I think it's
Merrill Hodge.
Daryl?
It's not Merrill. It's K. Hodge.
Merrill Hodge is a guy that was used to be on ESPN.
And I'm watching about the first half highlights. It looks like Justin Jefferson. I was going to ask, like, is this a Warrior's fault? It looks like he's just carving everyone that was on him that day, and it wasn't like a Warrior had to shadow him. It was anyone could get some.
Just so you guys know, it's Daryl Hodge. So I mean, I was pretty much
Daryl.
Daryl.
Evan, you said play calling. Can you elaborate on that, please? What didn't you like, and what would you have liked to see them do differently?
It was just like the targets in like the situational. Like, there's a lot of third down or like second and long plays where you're now going to run. It's like Dave Warner's calling the plays. Okay, we have an incomplete pass on first down, and now it's second and long, and now you're just running a run play just to hopefully get back to third and manageable and actually trying to be aggressive. Like, I don't think Minnesota's secondary is that good. Granted, I think our pass protection scheme was horrendous this game, not helping out Sewell or any of the tackles. But that's also related to the problem that we're building a roster with only 2 tight ends, and one of the tight ends is your number 1 pass catcher.
Yeah.
So the play that Goff fumbled, the play before he got sacked, Sewell gave up a sack. He's going against Everson Griffin. He's an all-pro veteran. Gives up a sack, and then we come back and we still only have a 4-man protection. And you got to chip there. You got to have a tight end over there to help him out. Put a fullback in there to help him out. And he just manhandles Sewell. He gets his hands inside and pulls Sewell a side swim move and strips Goff.
Still did not have a
It's
great
just-
game.
It's just like philosophy standpoint. I still don't agree. Like, once again, I said it last week. I don't think Goff fits this scheme, and I don't think he's comfortable in it. It's a lot of under center. It's a lot of.
I don't know why we
pass.
keep going to the under center BS every week. I don't know why. I'd love to see us just go air raid 5 wide shotgun every play. I don't know why we go under center.
I mean, you look at our stats; they're kind of similar. We had 63 plays. Minnesota had 64. But I think Minnesota just didn't come out with a very good game plan against us.
They had an archaic offense.
Yeah, because I think Kirk Cousins could have thrown the ball to Jefferson at least a good 20 times, and he's catching 15 of them.
Yeah. I don't understand why they went away from that. I have no idea.
Mike Zimmer's an old school guy. I feel like he's just like
And they ran the ball well, too.
Put some chew in and run the ball is basically
Sort
his
of.
motto.
I mean, Madison had a few big runs that kind of
Madison
aided his stats.
we
didn't play good. Minnesota kept us in the game because a lot of Minnesota had 7 penalties for 74 yards, and I can probably count 2 or 3 of those penalties were either second and long, third down, where they're giving us a first down, like illegal hands to the face, 5-yard penalty but automatic first down, like defensive holding, 5-yard penalty but automatic first down.
Yeah, Bashad Breeland had like 5 penalties, felt like. And he got booed by Minnesota. Also, Minnesota's fans were booing them all.
They were booing the offense in the second half.
They booed Breeland when he got a pass interference call, too.
I mean, Minnesota scored 6 points in the second half.
Yeah, Minnesota
2 field
fans
goals.
were pissed.
And I don't agree with the whole attempting the field goal at the end of the game. I understand why, because if you kick the field goal, it's over again because you're up 2 possessions.
Context, Grant.
Was there another
Minnesota had a chance to end the game with a field goal attempt. It was like a 55
So it
yards.
was a 50-some yarder, yeah.
And they missed, and then we ended up scoring after that. No,
We got the ball.
flipped the
we
field.
scored. That was the drive that we scored.
No, we flipped the
So
field. They
Goff
got it
gets
back
set
and then
on
fumbled.
4th and 15 for a bunch of yards.
As
Like
he
the
does.
game is over. I turned the channel
Right,
because
that was what it
it's
was
over. There's 3-something minutes left.
That's why I
They
turned
ran-
it off. Yeah.
They ran 4 plays, got 3 yards. It's a typical, okay, we're just going to run, kick a field goal. They missed the field goal, and then we have 2 long plays, I think one to Monroe, one to Swift.
Oh, we got 3.
And that's how,
Yeah.
that's how we got down the field and we scored, and then we went for 2. And
Well, and I'm
No, Evan. We got a field goal on that drive. Then there was a questionable, should we kick it off with 2.5 minutes left or onside?
yes, we kicked the
We
field goal.
kicked
wow,
it deep.
dudes on that drive in context. So they threw the ball on 3rd and 7 and then kicked the field goal, it seems like, which is also incomplete. So it gave the Lions a free
Yes.
timeout. And then Swift just absolutely pumped Bashad Breeland
Yeah, he trucked him.
on a drive.
And then we kicked 3.
Oh, and also shout out Seibert. 3 for 3 today. So kicker woes that I
All
was
down the middle, too.
personally worried about coming into the year. So far, he's looked pretty solid, which is a good thing to note. And I'm rewatching this Jalen Reeves-Maven play to get my eyes on it. That's
It was
just like
just bad.
on the grown man, took the ball away from him.
Yeah, Madison just needs to go down there if you're the Vikings.
Amonra, good game from him.
Monroe played well today. Yeah.
All right.
He's like one of our only athletes.
Target leader, I think, on the team today. Or probably Swift.
Best receiver on the team today.
Receiving yardage-wise.
7 for 65.
He had a lot of targets.
Most catches and yards, Alex. Glaring problem again.
65 yards is nothing to write home about, but
Watch your mouth.
it just shows this anemic offense.
Glaring problem again, and it's not even. It's a lack of targets problem and a lack of production problem is for Hawkinson. So what do we see out of him? Is this an injury concern because he's not 100%, or what's going on here?
Felt like he was injured and more of a decoy, in my opinion. They didn't really even look at today. And they, Minnesota had the safety shadowing him at all times with a linebacker, pretty much. So he was never open.
Patrick Peterson was on him quite a bit too.
Yeah.
I think it's just like scheme. I think it's just, okay, this is our play, and like Hawkinson's just the first option instead of designing plays to get Hawkinson open.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
I know what you're saying.
like you're running, okay, we're running a typical bootleg, okay, and then you're like, okay, Hawkinson's your first read, instead of designing plays to get Hawkinson open.
Yep. And it doesn't help that the Lions don't really have guys that are creating separation at all. So then when Hawkinson's not open, Jared Goff just throws it into coverage, and it's never good. Also, Jared Goff trying to attempt a 50-yard bomb to Khalif Raymond in double coverage just to get the game going. It's terrible, terrible decision. He's lucky that was not intercepted.
You know what's so one thing too I want to eliminate on the Hawkinson point before we move on to anything else is that, as everyone's eye test has shown, but you look at first game against San Francisco, 8 catches for 97. Second game versus Green Bay, 8 catches for 66. And then against Baltimore, 2 catches. Chicago, 4 catches. Minnesota, 2 catches. So you can chalk it up to injury. You can chalk it up to scheme. It's probably a mix of everything. It has to change, though, because you're not going to break 20 points often if he's not catching at least I don't know, I'll say like 5 to 6 catches a game for like 60 to 70 yards and a touchdown. Like, he needs to be much more involved in the offense. I think that's a no-brainer, but like something needs to change.
You need your receivers to be better too. You need separation. You're not creating any separation in the games. Monroe, he did, I guess, a decent job today. But we have no guys that can take the pressure. No defense has to worry about anything other than Hawkinson. And so it's super easy to lock him down, and then our receivers aren't good enough to do anything on their own. And Jared Goff also isn't good enough to find other receivers. It's just terrible. The whole offense is just bad. It needs a lot of work.
On the Lions' last drive of the game when the Vikings have the ball, just kind of watching it back and nitpicking. I mean, obviously, the secondary's banged up. They're not very good. I believe we had an Instagram comment from Fan Jack asking if this is the worst secondary in the league.
Yes.
I don't know the statistics on it, but it feels like it watching it. And they're playing this really baby soft zone coverage.
Rushing 3.
And, yeah, I did notice that. So they rushed 4. They even have a design blitz off of it on one of the plays, which I enjoyed, because they kept the guy in bounds for only 6 yards on that, which maybe go back to that. And then on 2nd and 4 from Minnesota's own 45 with 22 seconds left, they rushed three people. And it's like the most stand-up, like not even try to get to the quarterback rush. And it's just wide open to Thielen in the middle of the field, right at the field goal line. And it's just one of those puke things where it's like, I personally have decided from watching football many years that I do not like rushing 3 almost ever. I'd much rather some guy make a big catch one-on-one versus a guy than rush 3 than they have all day, and then eventually that zone's going to break down because, I don't know, they're professional athletes and it's a lot easier to be on offense running around than play defense. So I hate that, but I don't know. And then I guess credit to their kicker, kind of a no-name guy.
You had a great day.
Makes a big kick.
Made everything. And
then we get tears in the postgame. So I don't really know what to think about this team other than they're kind of continuing to do the Detroit Pistons method of making every game close and hopefully going for the number 1 pick. Credit
to this team for, always fighting, because they are half the problem is talent. There's not a lot of it. So it's impressive in the sense that they're competing.
Trey Flowers also had a sack in this football game, so
he sucks.
I feel like as much as we talk crap about him, Evan says I think move on, but he did have a sack.
He sucks.
No, I'm saying who cares? Whip-de-doo. Like, whip-de-doo, Trey Flowers, good for you. You're going to get cut next year, so just get it out of the way.
Oh, no. It is kind of funny if you look on the Scores app is what I use. If you look at the chat, a question that came from the chat for you guys, just a statement this person made, but I want to know if you believe it. Is Detroit the best 0-5 team of all time?
No.
All right. That was a quick no.
We had that one Lions team that started the season like 0-6 and then won 7 games. So, because they lost to all like Super Bowl contenders by like 3 points every week. The year we lost like Denver, Seattle on the push out of the backs of the end zone. That team was defeated for a while and they were much better coming off the playoffs season.
I think the answer to this question, I remember someone talking about this once. I think the answer to this is in our lifetimes at least, a recent team was the 49ers under Shanahan. I think they started like 0-4 and then they won out the rest and they barely missed the playoffs. So I think that would be the right answer. But I will say for an 0-5 team, we're very competitive.
Yeah, I said we're a hard-working team. We never quit. Matt Patricia teams would have quit. Would have probably gotten blown out. So good to see that this team hasn't given up yet. Curious to see how they bounce back next week after another devastating loss.
Are you curious, though? That's a real question.
95% of my focus is on Michigan State football, and then the rest goes to then I would say 2% goes to the national scene, and then, the rest of it goes to the Lions. So, no, I'm not super curious to see it, but it'd be nice to see it.
Big picture, a little nerve-wracking here that I was thinking about during Dan Campbell's post-game press conferences, like how long is it until there's chatter of the locker room being like devastated past the point of return?
I don't think that'll happen.
Ever?
I don't think it'll happen this year. No.
They
like that.
played for Dan Campbell. I'm not worried.
Evan gave me a timetable, though. I liked it. I agree. I'm just asking the question. I agree. I think they. No, I mean, if they're. I gotta step back here and think. If they're 0-10, I think it's gonna be really dark, really bad. If they don't get a win pretty much before the bye, things are gonna be dark. And I'm not gonna say it's gonna be gone, but I'm gonna say like they probably would have to get rid of a lot of guys that are in the locker room right now in the offseason, because I don't know how you would go, forbid 0-17 and come back and like look forward to another offseason of hard work and getting ready to go for next year.
I mean, I don't think a lot of these guys are going to be back, other than the young guys, the super young rookies that are showing promise, and second and third year players showing promise. Veterans wise, I don't see many sticking around anyways. So you're not going to need Anzalone forever.
But there is something to be said where I
get what you're saying.
Yeah, you don't want to break everyone's will and people to be depressed playing the sport of football.
Yeah, I mean, they know it's a process, and they know they're close. They've been close. They've had 2 wins
it feels
in
close,
their face.
but it almost always feels like it's going to end in a loss.
Yeah, well, that's what happens to talentless teams. It's a miracle they're competing in these games, honestly.
A miracle, Alex? That seems a little extreme.
I mean, if you would have told me this morning that the Lions lose on a game-winning field goal as time expires when they were winning, I would have told you you're crazy.
I don't think so. I would not. I'd be like, it's the NFL. It happens.
It is, but also this team is one of the worst teams talent-wise in the NFL.
Correct.
And they're still somehow, right there.
Because they're still top 5% of athletes.
Other than one game, every game's come down to actually 2. The Bears game was not very close. 3 of the 5 have come down to the last possession. All
right. Well, dark days here in the start of the Dan Campbell era. We got tears, like I said, through week 5. I wonder if there was an over-under on that. That's pretty fast. I would have taken the over if someone said week 5.
I would have taken the never.
Tears. Yeah. So we shall see how this progresses. Now in the show, we will move to a recap. So how we're going to do this, because the diehard listeners will be like, guys, it's week 6. That means it's Q2, quarterly report number 2. And you're right, you finance majors out there. It is Q2. We're going to go through the recaps of the games, and then we will get into the kind of big picture quarterly report of the teams with some midseason awards and some big picture questions, and then we'll move on from there. So we will start with the Big Ten noon kickoff, not the big noon kickoff, the Big Ten noon kickoff. MSU 31 at Rutgers, Piscataway, New Jersey. Tough place to get up for at noon kickoff. Rutgers scored 13 points. I don't know why I sounded like I was chopping them when I said that.
Well, it is embarrassing.
It was a battle for the keep chopping phrase, as we all know, and thankfully, I'm not going to say MSU gets to keep chopping. They get to steal keep chopping officially from Rutgers and keep it until the next matchup. So, where would you guys like to start with Michigan State versus Rutgers? Now, Michigan State is now ranked. Did the AP come out as well?
10.
10 in both?
10 in AP, 9 in coaches.
All right, we'll go with 9. We always go with the higher rank. The 9th team in the country, the Michigan State Spartans.
Evan, you go first, and now I will comment off of what you say.
Okay. Obviously, this game didn't give up any points in the second half. It's one of the biggest things you take away. Played decent. Obviously, all the records, stats, and all the big plays or the highlights from the game. If you really break it down, I don't think I was more upset at a game when we're up by 8 at halftime.
Yeah, I would say we
should
have been
8 at halftime, and I felt disgusted about being up 8 at halftime. The first half was sloppy. Didn't get off to the best start. We moved the ball great on the first drive, stalled out.
Terrible fake field goal.
Yeah, can we touch on that? What was the deal with you guys looking back? Was there any talk post-game about the decision for the fake field goal? Because it seemed very unorthodox, very discombobulated.
That one of the coaches said they saw something they liked on with whatever Rutgers came out in, and they thought they could pull a fast one on them, I guess. I also read that we made a weird gesture to Coughlin before he ran out there, and it was like pretty obvious that a fake was coming, and then Rutgers was obviously all over it. I hate the call. I don't hate, I guess, a fake field goal attempt. I don't think you need to do it against Rutgers, for one. But if you're going to do it, that was one of the worst designs. I mean, at least give him a passing option. You're just going to have a real bootleg with Bryce Behringer.
I don't know if I would factor in I don't like the point that you made about don't need to do a fake field goal because it's Rutgers.
I don't think you needed to against Rutgers. I don't.
But I would say if they did think they had a look they liked, regardless of opponent, I would try it.
Well,
and be sneakier about it, I guess. And probably not put it in one of the least athletic people's hands on the team. Because I'm rewatching it, and it basically, maybe they knew, but 0 for Rutgers stayed home the whole way. He did not bite whatsoever. And it's basically one of their fastest linebackers on an island with Behringer, and you take the linebacker any single time.
And if anyone doesn't know, Behringer is the punter.
And wears goggles.
Yeah. So
that's all you need to know.
It's got a leg, though. It's got a leg.
And it's kind of messed up.
I didn't like
go ahead.
Just like that first drive. I didn't like the third down play. And then I'm with Alex. You shouldn't have to run a fake there, especially the first drive. Like, if you're going to run a fake, you might as well just call a decent play on third down and then go for it on fourth.
Agreed.
And just impose your will on Rutgers saying we're better than you and just go for it.
Yeah, I'd much rather would have just ran a regular offensive play than that. I'm not a big fake field goal guy in that situation. Now, obviously, if it works, I'd probably talk.
And then after that, it gets kind of one of those things that gets a little nerve-wracking when you're on the road again at noon in Piscataways that Rutgers answers with a nice little put-together touchdown drive, and then you find themselves up 7-0.
You give up 3rd and 18.
I felt like it was more us doing mistakes than Rutgers actually executing, but I mean that could just be my biased Michigan State. I didn't think the defense tackled very well. I didn't think we played very well in the first half. 3rd and 18, we sacked them twice, and then they get great catch by the kid, but they convert 19-yard catch.
One of those tip of your cap plays because Vidral just rolls out the wrong way for his handedness and makes a crazy off-balance throw, and there's a toe tap along the sideline.
Incredible, keeping your feet in bounds. Right on the first down marker. Yeah, I mean.
Can't happen.
Got to wrap up in the backfield.
Then Vendrell has a 30, 40-yard run down to the 5-yard line.
4 missed tackles.
One of the worst display of tackling of all time. Miss him at the line. Don't feel the hole properly. I think Crouch missed him. And then somebody goes in, just tries to lay a boomstick, and just head down, eyes closed, doesn't do anything. So they score on there. Okay, whatever. They beat us. They had a good play on the goal line, and Brandon Gaudin and James O'Nice were just pumping up the offensive coordinator for Rutgers. It was absolutely disgusting.
And then the answer, I don't know. I'm going to call him player of the game. I'm going to call Speedy Naylor. If you guys didn't know his name, it's Jalen Naylor, but a lot of people call him Speedy. If you hadn't heard, I think that's becoming my new Clayton Kershaw and Stafford are friends. If you hadn't heard, he's fast. He makes. It was more of those a Rutgers blown coverage, but also he makes a nice little basketball shimmy move on a guy and connects on a play action bomb. So one of those Rutgers has this back-breaking long drive that felt like they had to put in a lot of work, and then Michigan State just comes over the top with the bomb to tie it up. So your thoughts after that? Yeah,
it was obvious during our first drive, their first drive, and then our second drive, that we were superior talent-wise. It was just a matter of executing. So I would just say it was a sloppy half. And then, but to bounce back after Rutgers scores with a bomb, 63-yard touchdown, is something we have not seen from Michigan State teams lately in the last few years, to have the firepower to just bounce back that quickly. So that was nice to see. Because a couple years ago, I'm getting nervous. What?
Our athletes are just better than their athletes. So
yeah, but we've had weird things happen in Piscataway before.
Yeah, then we get down 10-7 because of one of the worst, in my opinion, one of the worst, roughing the passer penalties of all time, really and bad. It was called by the head umpire because he's usually the closest guy to it.
Or the late hit out of bounds is what you mean.
Yes. I think he assumed that he went in there for contact, but he was getting blocked into him, and he touched Evangel, basically like trying to hold up his momentum from falling on him on his face.
Pulled away. It was one of the worst calls.
Can we briefly discuss how the umpire was basically wearing a choker necklace via his whistle the whole game? I mean, that thing...
Not sure why he was doing it.
I think there was a joke made that maybe the whistle is cutting off oxygen to his brain, and that's why he made that call. But I would believe that theory based off the call I saw. I mean, it was one of those ones where he basically just patted him on the butt and said, hey, good scramble. So...
That's so bad. And
then there was a back-to-back.
Right after that,
one after a little chicken wing to the chin, which
football
soft, but you can live with that, especially after the one you just saw. You can kind of live with that one, I would say.
More acceptable.
Yeah, it just sucks they happen back-to-back.
Get your hands down, Slade. And then good stop.
Great goal line stop.
Great stop to get him to get 3, all things considering. I think I texted that. After all that mess, they only came away with 3 points. Felt like a win.
And then the play. 3rd and 5. You guys take it from here. What do you guys think on that the second touchdown to Speedy Naylor?
I mean, I've been saying I will want to get him involved more often.
You did say that.
A flea flicker, baby.
That was a flea flicker, wasn't it?
Wasn't that?
No, that was the over the shoulder.
Wait, let me check. Nope, just a straight drop back. It was a Willie Mays Hayes.
That's what he outbeat him. He caught that, and then he realized the defensive backs that are trying to catch him, he's more athletic, faster, and better in every aspect of their lives, and he can just score on that.
That was Jalen Naylor's like sideline cut Reggie Bush play. You know, that was like a stop and then change all direction. And as good as the throw was, the catch was even better, and the cut was probably even better.
Yeah, a great play all around.
And then BTN throws out these, I'm not going to call them 4K cameras, but their version of like the 4K cameras. And I was like, okay, we got some production value on this BTN noon kickoff here.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Fox.
Side note, again, dumb note on the game. You guys feel like your guys' green pops better on BTN? I feel like the green looks sharper and almost brighter.
Just looks brighter. I wouldn't say it's better.
It's like a different, like the helmets aren't one shade of green. It's like it's not metallic, but there's like or if you catch it just right in like the sunlight or like the camera, like it will reflect the helmet. It's not just like a solid base color. It's not like a matte green.
Yeah.
It's like a matte metallic green.
Yeah.
Also, I'll get this point out there and apologize to everyone after the second touchdown we just discussed. Connor Hayward is not the 3rd best skill player on Michigan State. That award was taken from him in the middle of this game by Jalen Naylor.
And also, Evan and I never declared that. That was solely a Grant thing.
Right, like I said.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, like I said.
Making sure
bad fumble, bad snap.
Bad.
Like some of the play calling just was like
coaches
doing so well, and then you just revert backwards. You're not progressing forward throughout the game. Like you just revert backwards in your game plan instead of like, okay, this worked, let's continue to build on that. It's like you're going back to like basic plays. It's like a triple option. Okay, it's a read. Okay, I can read bubble, and now we're throwing just a quick bubble, and I don't think one of them got positive yards.
Alex was
ready to do that. We tried to do that early in the 3rd quarter.
Alex was ready to fire someone mid-game in this game.
I wouldn't go to that extreme, but the first half coaching this is the first time this year where, you know, there's been bad play calls. That's going to happen every week, but it felt like the whole coaching staff was struggling. I don't know what. Grant made the joke that maybe they were all hungover the night before.
Yeah.
Like they got super hammered.
Mel took the guys out
to they had a game Saturday.
They went to catch steak in New York City and had a late train back to Hoboken the next day.
I thought the players overall executed pretty well, but the coaches did not put them in a great spot to win. Now, it helps when you're just far superior than Rutgers, Butlers, as they call them.
They do.
That really helps that you're way better than them. But, I mean, I thought the first half coaching performance was abysmal. And I'm sure we're about to get into the terrible clock management.
Yeah, so we have a flea flicker. So after they kick the field goal, it's 14-13. Then just one play, we do the flea flicker. Barstool now has flea flicker. Apparel. I guess we're just branding ourselves as that.
3 for 3, 3 touchdowns.
As good as we can execute that.
Yeah.
Put it on film. They gotta get ready for it.
I'm just gonna say it right now.
Michigan can't get back.
I was about to say. What should I do if they hit one of those on October 30th? I don't know what I'm gonna.
I mean, there's no way that
I will break something.
Michigan State executes that for another touchdown.
No,
there's no way. It's all over film at this point.
I mean, I don't know. Do they design it differently? I
think every time it's just 4 go routes, and Peyton Thorne just
no,
takes
but Jalen Nailor like played it off. Like the one that we ran against Nebraska, he kind of ran a little bit to the left. It wasn't like a straight just like dive play. He kind of a little outside zone, a little bit left, and it was like a toss back to his right, back towards the middle. And you just got to get more creative with them. I mean, you might see a reverse flea flicker where you hand it off, reverse until it actually quarterback, that type of thing, like what Rocky Lombardi tried to do, failed miserably.
Guys,
I've never seen a team hit, I don't think, 2 flea flickers in a season, let alone 3 now. So
3 through 6 games.
Maybe they can
we're
keep
at
it
a
going.
50% clip through 6 games, which is ridiculous. But Evan, walk me through the mismanagement of the clock at the end of the half.
Make it make sense.
But also, let's talk about Michigan State scored a touchdown with Kenneth Walker and had a holding call, and then all of this transpired.
True. I mean, it was obviously a holding call. I'm not saying that it wasn't.
Would have scored anyway.
The dude got bodied. He was on his knees, and he just was like, "Yep, you're coming with me." And like in my mind, like you're an offensive lineman, you just have to hold up your guy if you know it's like a potential bounce play for like half a second.
Yeah, there's
just half a second, and Kenneth Walker will probably bounce it for you.
And every play with Kenneth Walker is a potential bounce play.
There's really no reason to hold
correct
on that.
Okay, so like that drive was 12 plays, 55 yards, 5 minutes and 16 seconds. Don't get any points out of it because Coughlin shanked it /
You know why? Because Shiano Man did the double ice. The red double ice.
The highlight of Rutgers' game.
He lost his mind. You would have thought Rutgers just won the title.
He just ran off the field of the locker room as fast as he could.
It's ridiculous.
So there's 35 seconds left, and there has to be somebody in the ear of Mel Tucker or the offensive coordinator before we even get down that close. Like we call a timeout with 54 seconds left. Okay, so there's about a minute left. There has to be somebody that knows the exact execution of when we're calling the next timeout and what the situation is. Right there. He goes under center, and if you want to run another play, you're trying to get the play call in, took absolutely forever. I think there was like about 20-some seconds left.
You had a timeout, too.
You have a timeout. Technically, you can still run one play. The clock is running. We complete a pass to Connor Hayward. Some stupid tunnel screen. They well executed for them defensively.
It's all over film.
Okay, so now the clock is running with 35 seconds left. At one point, okay, you have a timeout in the bag. Do we let it run all the way down or we want to run a play? Obviously, the coach was like, we want to run another play. Okay, my mindset is you have one timeout. You can run any play in the playbook because you have a timeout left. You can run it over the middle. You don't have to worry about the sidelines or the end zone. There has to be a situation where a coach knows we have to get the play off before a given amount of time. In my head, I said, okay, you have to snap it at least at the latest at 12 seconds. And Peyton Thorne was still looking at the sideline with 12 seconds still on the clock. My head, you should be able to try to snap that like around 20.
I thought a little
to give yourself comfortable time.
Why not just call a timeout when there was 20 seconds left, have one play, just go to the end zone, and then kick the field goal? I mean, there was about 5 different things you could have done there, and we chose the one that didn't work.
Correct.
And then also once you finally do get the snap off, Peyton Thorne takes all day to throw it.
He scrambles right, and then he doesn't throw like a quick pass. He throws like a looper in the back.
40-yard pass out of the back of the stadium. Oh, my God. And then we were gifted with a second left, which was accurate. And then you don't kick it because of timeout. Then you make it, but timeout. And then a fake timeout, which everyone's applauding Shiano for. And Coughlin, you can say it was blocked, but he shanked it. So,
yeah. Second half was boring. Highlight was the one play, 94 yards by a touchdown. Other than that, there was a lot of punts.
There was really only one play I remember in the balance where Rutgers missed a deep throw that probably would have put him on the 10 going in. When it was 21-13. I think they did that little double fake handoff play they ran earlier in the half. There was a corner route with a lot of field, and he just missed them. And I think once that play missed, and then a punt happens, and then Kenneth cribs it, it's like, okay, this game's over. I mean, if as long as it was hanging the 21-13 balance, you could convince yourself if you were on the other side of this game thinking, there could be one college football play that happens in every game where things get crazy and then you never know what's going to happen. Turns out the college football-esque play happened after the missed throw and Kenneth went 94 yards. There was one funny clip from the second half besides X's and O's where Shiano was begging for a safety, I think he wanted, and he just came.
Oh my gosh! Does he know the rules?
I don't think he did.
I asked the TV.
I think he wanted. He wanted grounding, and it was pretty clear that Thorne was out of the pocket.
There was a receiver in the area too.
Yeah,
but
I think he was screaming because of there was a flag, illegal chop block on Kenneth Walker, and so he was trying to argue since Peyton Thorne was in the end zone, it should count as a safety. But the foul didn't occur in the end zone. I think that's what he was arguing, not the intentional grounding.
Interesting.
The foul would have to occur in the end zone for it.
Correct.
And it wasn't in the end zone.
He came flying down the field. It was so funny.
It's one of the most ridiculous things. Greg Schiano's a clown.
But those slanted nose tackles, though.
My last main point from the game is Cal Halliday made a massive difference for the defense. The linebackers look lost without him. So I think just in terms of having
he gets them lined up,
captain, leader,
bend and break defense.
He gets the guys in the right spots, and he is very crucial to Michigan State's defense being the average defense that they are.
I think
Ben Van Sumeren is poop.
Hey, welcome to the club. I think one of the main points I wrote down too, it was, I guess if you're an unbiased college football analyst like myself, this was a good showing for Michigan State to prove that they can be an explosive offense without the aid of Jaden Reed, because he had, for all intents and purposes, like a ghost game. You really could have taken him out of the game, and I think the result's the exact same. So I think that was encouraging in a way to see that it's not a one-dimensional need to lean on him to make a couple big plays in a game.
And as a biased Michigan State person, I never thought that we would ever be one-dimensional because I knew we had a three-headed monster. And I think most Michigan State fans know that Jalen Nailor's the real deal. They just didn't. They chose not to get him involved that much.
The safeties played pretty well for Michigan State, I felt like, in this football game.
Gross was laying the boom.
Yeah.
And then 64, I don't know his name.
Jacob Slade.
Jacob Slade almost had the moment that you dream about.
The big man touchdown was in his sights.
The ball went so perfectly up right in his basket.
Great hands by him.
Juiciest top you can ask for. That ball got
he could have fair caught it
in the air.
He could have fair caught that thing.
One bounce on the turf.
He couldn't catch it. He was too slow to catch up to it, but it did bounce perfectly into his hands. And he probably thought, I'm cribbing this. and then he got clipped down and his whole body's flying forward. I was worried he was going to fumble.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to fumble and see that thing just shoot 15 yards the other way. And
that reminded me of one other terrible thing for Michigan State. Luke Campbell
was trying to pick it up and run.
It was Luke Campbell.
Was it Luke Campbell?
You can't pick that ball up and try to run. You are not a tailback. And he picks it up and fumbles it right back down to the turf. And all you had to do is just jump on it. So I was really pissed off.
Alarming thing, I would say, just if we're the whole nitpick thing, which our show loves to do, is that giving up 2 3rd and 18s is not something that's sustainable in future games. So got to clean that up. Whatever's going on. Page out the Detroit Lions playbook against the Ravens. Got to figure out.
The second one was more an
adjustment.
The game was over. It was 31-13 on the second one.
And then have to give credit where credit is due. I know there's some harsh feelings for, I would say, this player on this podcast, but Matt Coughlin set a field goal make record for Michigan State University. So
helps when you play college for 10 years. Thanks, Matt.
Almost thinking we weren't going to get it done there after the fake in the first,
and then the miss, and then
miss,
then you get one at the end of the game,
and then got it. So I don't know. Those have been all my takeaways. Anything else from a game that you had to win, and they did.
And I think, Rutgers, everyone could say they're almost there. They're still not very good. They're still butt. They're still
a recruiting class or 2 away, as they like to say.
They're a few years away still. I think Shiano's a clown.
I don't think he's a bad coach. They do questionable things offensively, but their defense will always give you fits, but they do questionable things offensively.
They're just a slow team. They just don't have many playmakers.
All right, let's transition to the other game the show cares about in the Big Ten. Michigan survives Lincoln, Nebraska, the nightmare that was that night. 32 at Nebraska, 29. Scott Frost was not fired this morning, was he?
No, because he can't fumble. It's not his fault. His team keeps fumbling the ball.
Stop, Alex. It's an undisciplined football team. I know, their team blew some things, but undisciplined football team.
At some point, granted, the players have to play.
Overall, I guess I don't know. Nerve-wracking. Big picture thoughts is like, it almost felt like one of those college basketball mentalities where just survive in advance. Like everyone's trying to get this over the edge to October 30th undefeated, especially for this podcast. Talk about ratings galore. Just survive in advance until the 30th. Let's just get there, get to that point, and then play that game undefeated. So they survived this test. I knew the atmosphere was going to be bonkers, even though their team's pretty pathetic. It was bonkers. They had a sweet entrance. The entrance was one of the Nissan pregame rush, as they say in the business, was very electric. And they had, a great light show like I anticipated. I don't really know. Like, it was one of those ones where it was a tale of two halves again, where the game was pretty much, there was a real point in this game where I thought Nebraska was not going to score. And it probably was halftime, where I was like, I don't know if they have what it takes to actually get the ball in the end zone. And then clearly they found, so I've heard from people that play football at this level that they say halftime adjustments are like kind of a myth. Like, they do happen, but they're not like all it's clicked up to be. So I don't know if this was Scott Frost adjustments or just, I think in Nebraska's offense, you have to be so dialed in for ball fakes and the option and the play action that I think that just wears on you over a game, and they are going to get some plays. Because all of their plays were like big chunk, all their touchdowns were big chunk touchdowns where someone just got caught on a ball fake, or they caught Michigan on a bad blitz play where like the play call they had was perfect. Like, I'm thinking of that like looping screen pass to the right that they just cribbed for like 30 yards. And then,
which was illegal.
Was?
They had 5 men in the back.
Again, that happened. There was several. It was a sloppy game, review-wise, turnover-wise. Ref-wise, coaching-wise, where Michigan had the classic like 5 false starts in a rowdy environment. That was just tough. You almost could bank on like moving 5 yards back every drive at some point. And then Nebraska had several illegal formations, whether they were called or not. I don't know. What did you guys think, if any, quick hitters from afar from this game, looking at it?
Well, I thought this would happen. So
correct.
I'd like to start with that.
You were pretty nails on this game.
Said Michigan would be down late, score late to win, which happened. So I knew it would be a rowdy environment. I think the biggest question I have for you, Grant, that I would love to hear from you specifically is just what are your thoughts on Cade McNamara through 6 games? Because I thought this game, he once again just underwhelms me. He's just not. He doesn't seem like the guy.
I'm going to start it off with a shout out to a tweet I saw. I believe it was someone texted Ant Wright, who's a pretty big Michigan Twitter account that our podcast follows, so I kind of see those tweets come through during the game. He got a text from someone that said, Cade McNamara is like a car on the highway driving 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, but refuses to get out of the left lane. And I think there's some
people have an hate.
Truth to that. Is like, it's maddening, but he's like good enough. Like, he's still going over the speed limit, thankfully. He's not driving under the speed limit. There's some talent there. There's some, he did throw his first pick of his collegiate career, which was going to happen at some point. So I can still say safely he's good at ball security. I'm still comfortable saying that, even though he threw a pick. So had to get that out of the way. He's good at ball security, game management, game manager. He hits some throws here and there. Like, he's not missing like every easy throw, but it's not 100% accurate, which no one is. Do I deep down in my gut still think that the ceiling is capped because of him being quarterback? Yes. But I also realize, I think we had this debate earlier in the week, is that you just simply cannot bench him to like start a game. Like, you can't just be like next week or until they lose, you can't be like, oh, J.J. McCarthy's going to start. I think that would be psychotic.
So to my next question to Evan.
But wait, you can pull him like Oklahoma did. You can pull him in the middle of the game. I thought at some point they might make the switch in this game. You had 6 points for the longest time. The offense did not look stunningly sharp. Shout out the run game. Well, you can get to that X's and O's a little bit later. But like, you can pull him in the middle of the game, but you can't start J.J. McCarthy until they lose.
Now, my question to Evan, a non-biased college football observer.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do about the quarterback situation in Ann Arbor? Will you ride Cade till a loss?
I'm riding him the rest of the year. I haven't seen anything in a meaningful game that tells me J.J. McCarthy is better than him. And I mean, the credits to the coaches. I mean, you're putting J.J. McCarthy in there to fail when it's like a Damian Terry 2.0. Just he's more talented than Damian Terry. It's in there, and it's read option either left or right.
Great point, Evan.
Yes, he does have talent to throw, and there is that option. Okay, he could turn around and throw the ball on me, but 75% chances he's going in there to run. And there was a crucial third down at the end of the game where he went in there.
I thought that was a terrible decision.
Like, if you're Nebraska and you see him run in, it's instant, okay, everybody press up, man up everybody, and then everybody else is go out.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather see them try to do, like, the same read option play with Cade McNamara where they're not expecting him to run. Like, yes, he has, like, a couple long throw touchdowns this year, but it's against inferior opponents where those backups typically shouldn't be on the field. Right now, Cade McNamara, he's doing all right. He hasn't lost him a game. He hasn't done anything to hurt Michigan lose a game.
Yeah.
Like, you go into and it's like this game, as close as it was, you're not saying, oh, we only won by 3 because Cade McNamara did this, and this wrong. He had 1 turnover. Was it a bad throw? Absolutely, but a lot of quarterbacks throw interceptions.
Yep.
I think, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with the J.J. McCarthy. The maddening thing is I like seeing him in games, but there's no creativity to it. I'm almost 100% certain. Maybe throw out like the Western blowout and the other blowouts that have happened in the year, but in the meaningful games he's came in, when they're trying to sprinkle him in, every single play has been off the action of like a handoff to start. He's never just come in and taken a normal snap and shotgun and looked to throw. So it's pretty much either going to be a read option with him, and I think I don't think the Dalen Baldwin touchdown was, and the game was basically over by that time anyway. So that is not even the meaningful. Any meaningful snap when the game's in the balance still, it's been like a read option play. There's no, and I guess they're just saving it. As they say, they're just saving the playbook. That's just
I wonder,
coming in read option.
As a Michigan State fan,
is that going to be the game?
Is that going to be the game where they throw JJ in, everyone in the stadium's expecting run, and then they throw them?
It's going to have to happen at some point where there's going to have to be a post route behind the read option and then try to hit it. And then it's probably either going to be picked or a touchdown.
I was just going to say, it's intercepted or a touchdown. That's how
I guess it could be overthrown, whatever. Actual game flow, some notes I took throughout the game is that you can call questionable play calling, I'd say. I think in hindsight, so I guess Michigan's first drive ended on a brutal dropped pass by Sanders still. It was a great extend the play by Cade and just dropped. So Nebraska goes down. They're moving the ball well. I'm like, oh boy, this offense is moving the ball well. And then I don't know, hindsight's 2020. Scott Frost decides to go for it, probably jazzed up adrenaline on 4th and 2. If he had known that it was going to be such a Big Ten football game, which he probably should have because he's the coach of their team going in, you take the points there. But I think he was jazzed up and like, oh, we moved the ball so easy. We'll probably be down in the red zone a lot tonight. Goes for it. Heck of a play by 6-year senior Brad Hawkins to extend that. Yeah, Evan, you can jump in here. I see you shaking your head. You're mad at Scott Frost for doing that.
Absolute one. There's 2 people I'm mad at. One is Adrian Martinez on. He had the ball down the goal line. It's second down. Adrian Martinez. He scrambles towards like a run right, and he kind of falls out of bounds. So now it's 3rd and 2. Like, if you fight for those extra 2 yards, now you have 4 downs from the 3-yard line to like get in. Like, you're trying to protect yourself and you're a quarterback, but I don't think he had that much pressure on him. And then Scott Frost, obviously, I don't know where you're seeing your offense this explosive. Like, I'm going to score 50 points on no matter who. Like, Northwestern is the worst team in the Big Ten.
He was thinking about Northwestern. You're right.
When you're a big underdog against a top 10 team in the country and you have a chance to score first with a field goal, what are you doing?
You kick the field goal.
What are you doing?
Granted, in his head, because he's been thinking, okay, I've had field goal troubles the entire year, but you're also
10-yard field goal.
You're on a 3-yard line. Like, I think anyone
23-yard attempt. It's ridiculous.
So that was a huge momentum. And then nothing really of substance happened until one of Michigan's better defensive players, Daxton Hill, makes an unbelievable
Dirty 30.
interception. Is that what they're calling them? The kids in the street, Dirty 30.
Zero dark 30.
It was one of the better just individual effort plays I think you'll see this season. just tipped it to himself, laying down, staring at it, catches it. Also, I guess, chop or shout out RJ Moten for coming in and almost ruining the whole play. He dives in with like 2 hands and almost breaks it up. And I thought, oh gosh, they're going to go review this and turn it over. But I think the right call was made. I think he controlled it even through that bobble of Moten. And I don't think it really hit the ground. And then here's where the gripes come in. So you pick up a first down. After that, obviously, you're in Nebraska's territory where the pick was thrown. And then I believe, if I want to say, it was like they got a first down run for like 5 yards. Okay, they bring in JJ. Here he comes. Oh my gosh, it's like 6 and 5.
I wonder if they'll throw it.
They run a read option. It gets stuffed for a yard, and now it's 3rd and 4, and they keep JJ on the field. What are they going to do? Is this going to be the beautiful play action? Are we going to get something, maybe a little tight end sneak with a rollout, get your mobile quarterback out there rolling, give him an option? No, we're just going to run a read option. He gives it to Haskins, gets stuffed again. So, again, like we talk about nitpicking things with 3rd and 18s, Michigan State giving up to Rutgers, nitpicking things is like when you get an interception against Michigan State, Penn State, or Ohio State in their territory, that has to be 7. That cannot be 3. You cannot shoot yourself in the foot with running the same play on 2nd and 5 and 3rd and 5 with no creativity and kicking a field goal. I'll get my shout out to Jake Moody now with the first field goal. They don't win that game if it's not for him. It goes 4 for 4, I believe. So massive kicks from Jake Moody after he missed a big one against Rutgers.
Since then, it's been nails.
And then, boys, let me take you on a journey through the drive from hell in Grant's brain. Unbelievable sequence of events this whole drive was. It was a roller coaster of emotion. So Michigan has a 3rd and 1, almost at midfield on their side of midfield. Gets the first down. Clear as day. Maybe from the broadcast you thought Haskins' knee could have been down because he was blocked by the view was blocked by a defender blocking. But it looked clear as day, stayed on his feet, gets the first down. And then there was a clear holding by Michigan on that play, which was not called. I mean, anytime there's a 3rd and 1 and you have an offensive lineman rolling, doing a barrel roll, and a defensive lineman's on the ground with them, probably was a hold. So they don't call that. And then because Michigan was scrambling before that play even started. And I thought for sure there was going to be some illegal shift, illegal motion, illegal formation. Turns out they go, there's no penalty for illegal formation on the play, 4th down. And it's like, what? What do you mean? If there's no penalty, that was a first down. Like he's 5 yards past the first down almost. So Jim Harbaugh's freaking out. He's breathing through his mouth the whole game, so his mouth is wide open at this point. He's like, what's going on? Like,
mouth breather.
Review, screaming. Nothing. Play clock's getting down to 1. I'm like, I guess he's just going to burn a timeout here. Just do the old, hey, we're going to take a timeout so you have to review it, which isn't even a thing in football. Does it. And he's screaming review. And I think, thankfully, like a good break is the crew was like, yeah, maybe we should go take a look at that. Maybe the game's moving too fast for us. So they go take a look at it. They're like, yeah, first down, and you get your timeout back because it counts as an official review. So that was a good break. And then the next play, which I love, I'll give Gaddis credit here. I did like a play call briefly earlier in the game on a 3rd and 10. They went 5 wide, empty set, which is rare for Michigan, and they ran a beautiful tight end delay for an easy first down.
Oh, my God. First things first, they ran this play like about 3 times during the game. Like, fool me once, good for you. Fool me twice, okay, shame on me. By the 3rd time, I don't get what Nebraska's defense is doing. It's the same dude lined up in the same exact spot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's like he's not one on the line. He's like off
the H-back,
like,
kind of.
Almost like a wing, yes.
Yeah.
And I think 2 of them, you're in man. You're in man. And then he's like, oh, he's staying still. See you later. I'm going after Cade. It's like, no, you're in man, dog.
It is stunning.
And that 3rd time, it was like on the drive, like to win the game.
Yeah, it was a 3rd and 8 to Eric All, where they just did the same play. He's just wide open.
Stunning how bad Nebraska wants to lose. They just do stupid bleeps every game, over and over again.
I don't know what goes through like the defensive coordinators, and I don't know why they're not writing plays down. Like, okay, 3rd down, this is what they ran against us so far in the game, and I don't know why it wasn't said.
Yeah, and then alarm bells could go off like, oh my God, they're in the same formation. This could be the same.
No, but play. Credit to Michigan for calling the play 3 times.
Yeah, you might as well keep
time. That's a good play design.
Yeah,
because the first time that they ran it, it was like parting of the seas, and there was nobody even close to whoever caught it. I don't remember the kid's name. But he had like a 30.
The first one was Schoonmaker or something, yeah.
Schoonmaker?
Yeah.
Schoonmaker?
Schoon. So the reversal call happens, and I love taking a shot on the next play because everyone was kind of lulled to sleep at how long, like watching the game, that was like almost like 15 minutes of real time. So this is when the drive from hell starts. So
Todd Blackledge called it out. As soon as we got back from the break, Todd Blackledge literally said, I think this would be a good time for Michigan to go deep.
all right, maybe Todd was like talking to Josh. You know, they had a little pee break during that review, and they were talking shop in the men's restroom. And they come out and they dial one up. And again, I guess this is where if you want to nitpick and be a Cade hater, I'm not going to call Alex a Cade hater, but if you're a Cade skeptic, you'd be like, hey, Cade, just put a little bit more air on that, and it's a walk-in touchdown, which is true. I guess.
If he dropped that, did that ball hit the ground?
No, he caught it. It was
but when he rolled over, the ball was in his legs, in between his knees and at his feet. He didn't have it in his chest the entire time. I'm not saying it did. I'm not being that fan, but like the fact that they didn't like look at it closely, the review happened, but nobody in the broadcast or no coach ever hesitated because the ball did move when he rolled because he had it first. Great effort, way to die for it. But then when he brought it in, the ball rolled all the way down in between his knees.
The ball was moving around the whole way, and I get so lost with NFL and college. Like, what is the catch? How lenient are we? I don't think the ball ever hit the actual turf, and I think that's why it was okay. The ball was moving. The ball
was pointed out on his kneecaps.
The ball ends up in his knees, but I don't think it ever hit the turf through the process. So I think he was still good because he ended up possessing it.
Weird though, ESPN didn't show some reviews.
They did show replays of it.
Slow motion.
Yes.
But they didn't slow it down and question, did he catch this? I mean, they showed
wasn't the play reviewed?
They showed the replay over and over again about how good of a catch it was.
But
nobody ever said, the ball moved a little bit.
I think they just got done with the 15-minute review, and I think
they were like, let's just let him have it.
Speed this bad boy up.
So, again, could all have been avoided if Cade just puts a little bit more air on it and you walk in, which is going to be a big factor at the end of the drive of hell. So you have that, which I'm thinking when the ball was released and I saw where Sanderson was, I was like, oh, touchdown, let's go. Nope, have to dive. It's college football, so you're down.
Great play by him, too.
Fantastic catch by him, who hasn't made a lot of big plays this year. Huge stepping up, and also in the absence of Roman Wilson, a little insider info. Alex texted the group earlier in the week saying Roman Wilson will be out of this game with a wrist problem. I think he's going to be back. He should be back after the bye. It's not as serious as it could have been. So, but yes,
he does not have to play against Northwestern. Let's just keep that.
True.
JJ start against Northwestern. Okay. I want to start that trip.
We're getting lost in the drive of hell. So then we're in first and goal. Great play by Nebraska. And then we get to some run plays. So the first one is called touchdown on the field. You're like, yep, Hassan Haskins, who's very good. Sneaky aspect of him. Sweaty Michigan fans will know he's really good at extending around the goal line and still containing the ball and he's just really good at extending his body and staying up for touchdowns. So I'm like, yep, another touchdown of one of those. They review it. Turns out he's short by an inch. So then you get third and goal. And this is one of those things where I'm going to nitpick the staff a little bit, is where you had the same situation against Wisconsin in a fourth and goal when you bring in JJ to QB sneak. Why not do that again? If it worked against Wisconsin, why not bring in JJ, your running specialist, in QB sneak? Because he's more agile and he's got a longer, lankier frame when you're QB sneaking, which helps. Why not just do that? Because I hate handoffs. Handoffs when you're that tight with all those guys in the box are so sweaty. So many things can go wrong. And then you have Cade, who's not the most athletic quarterback, and that's putting it nicely. And he gets, I guess, not really his fault. His center gets blown up because there's bum rushing, and he trips. And he hands it off, and they don't call it live, but it turns out his knee was down. So again, touchdown on the field. Grant's happy. He's like, yes, finally, punch it in. Nope, they review this. So again, 3 reviews on this drive. Turns out, not a touchdown. Evan? Would have been a touchdown in the NFL, not in college.
So they scored a touchdown. I was like, oh, dang it, Michigan scored a touchdown. I was a Nebraska fan, hands up. I wasn't a good guy for the podcast.
Fair.
And they showed the first replay from a ways back, just the side view. And I said out loud, verbally, I said, Cade McNamara's down.
Wow, what a call. I didn't even
I said he was down. And I was screaming at Luke who I was watching with, and I was like, Cade McNamara's down. Maybe he had, maybe he got the ball into his duck, but I said Cade still had the ball in his hand. Then obviously they eventually reviewed it.
Yeah, and I knew the moment they showed the replay, you could tell when they showed the replay in the stadium, the crowd went bananas. And I was like, what are they cheering about? Michigan just scored. And I go, oh boy, was Cade's knee down? So the drive from hell continues, and it only ends with a field goal. So that whole experience probably was almost an hour of real live time, that whole drive, and it ended with 3 points. So that was brutal. And then The second half, Michigan's defense steps up. There was almost a sack fumble. I blew my ball call there. I mean, I'm so good at ball calls. I thought that was a real sack fumble. Turns out his hand was going forward enough. DJ Turner gets a pass interference because he's the most physical corner in the country and always acts like he doesn't do anything wrong. If he plays against Michigan State, you can bank on a 15-yarder in that one.
Looking forward to it.
But that drive, I'm going to take that drive right there to give some credit to the defensive line of Michigan outside of Hutchinson. David Ojabo and Mozzie Smith, two highly touted recruits who haven't really done much, didn't do much under Don Brown, are really flourishing in this new defense. And you can tell against Wisconsin and now Nebraska. Even those two, obviously there's the argument to be made maybe so much attention is being paid to Hutchinson that it helps them. But whatever, the whole defensive line is eating, and Ojabo and Smith are having impact performances. And then it was good to see a true Michigan 2-minute drill work. It was basically Cade checkdown to Corum. Cade did a lot of checkdowns this game. That's another common theme, which I enjoyed actually, because he missed some in previous games where he tries to force it downfield. And I think they had serious talks during the week between Gaddis mainly and maybe the QB coach Matt Weiss, saying, hey, take the free with your playmakers of Corum and Eric All and AJ Henning, the playmakers, just take the 5-yard completion and let them run for the first down. And he did that. He didn't get worried about the clock. Clock stops after first downs. And then a gutsy call that I've seen not work as of late, but a 3rd and 10 draw worked beautifully on this 2-minute drive. And that was stunning. And then I'll let you guys briefly, I'll stay out of this one because I don't apologize for it, but you guys can briefly touch about a pass interference call that happened during that drive that may or may not have been warranted.
Potentially the second worst call of the college football day, just behind the one in Piscataway. Horrendous call. Horrendous. I was stunned. But whatever. I'm sure you can make an argument.
It was on the Nebraska linebacker that was playing very well and had a very good game, like the captain of their defense.
Good player.
If he continued his route, and just kept on running and then ran into him, I could see it. But he physically stopped they met together and they stopped. Said, hey, what's up? And then both of them at the same exact time looked up and watched the ball go flying over their heads.
Yeah, pass interference evidence, obvious.
Yeah, it was
bad, man. It's a bad call.
It was a break. You don't apologize for it, but it went Michigan's way. And then
the gift
went for another. We talked about it in Rutgers. Another ballsy 13 seconds from the 3 in shotgun. So the handoff's taking place at the 7. And you're running a shotgun run with Haskins with only one timeout left. So you kind of put yourself up against the wire if you don't score there. They do. Doesn't matter. You can look genius in retrospect. I don't know. It's still kind of a risky call there. So you get the touchdown. You're up 13-0 at halftime. Feeling pretty good. Feeling like Nebraska, like I said, may never score in this football game. Boy, did the second half get crazy. I'll kind of fly through this a little bit faster here. But first of all, whatever they do at halftime with the balloons needs to stop, or they need to do something different, because you can't have balloons flying through the camera at all points of the second half, and the depth perception so off. I thought some of them were just resting above the middle linebacker's head. You have no idea where these balloons are coming from and if they're actually impacting the game.
I don't believe they were.
What happens if someone throws a moonshot and hits one of them? Just play on?
Yep.
It's ridiculous. And then on the big touchdown, the first one Nebraska had, that was a classic. I don't know what the defense was thinking. They all sucked in on this half-assed fake handoff, and it was one of those plays where the pass was caught, and in my mind, there's a safety back there. He'll make the play, just to stop this from being a touchdown. There's no safety back there. Everyone did.
Nebraska put him to sleep. And
it was one of those situations where you have a freshman linebacker, Junior Colson, in there, little learning lesson for him to don't bite on every fake. So that was tough. And then Nebraska stops Michigan. Again, the balloons are flying by. You're like, what's going on? This is nightmare. Michigan gets a stop. And just for a little behind the peak curtain here, they punt it. I've talked about how good AJ Hennings looked all season long returning punts. He's not his natural position. They had to kind of coach him up to get to that point. They released him to the wild 3 weeks ago. He muffs one. And probably the biggest game to date, muffs a punt, running backwards.
As I'm walking.
As Alex is returning from said wedding, he's like, oh my God, what's going on? Didn't know the score, didn't know the context. I go, shut your mouth. It was when the dog pile was happening, and I was like, I think Michigan has it, but I don't know. The Nebraska players got that one wrong. They were screaming emphatically, we have the ball. We have the ball. They did not. They did not have the ball. And I guess I would say credit to Cade in the Michigan offense. That drive starts at the 9, and they go the length of the field and score a touchdown. Like, the response there, that game could have turned quickly. You know, you get into one of those Big Ten field battle things if you go 3 and out there. They go the length of the field and score a touchdown.
Did they score right at the start of the fourth?
No, it was the end of Michigan scored at the end of the third there. So 3 minutes.
Touchdown?
3 minutes to go in the third. After the muff punt, they went from the 9 to touchdown.
Really?
Yes, 91-yard drive.
Well, this box score says they scored 6 points in the third quarter, so that
They went for 2.
that makes sense.
So the play call, which I guess, you know, the announcing booth was giving Jim Harbaugh some flack for this call later in the game, which I guess hindsight's 50-50. In the moment, I thought it made sense to go for 2. I was like, yeah, football math. Let's get to 21. They didn't get it, and it turns out later, like, that was a big factor in the whole field goal. Like, if you had just taken the 1 point, a field goal later in the game would have put you up by
That's
1
analytics
instead of being
stuff
tied.
that someone's probably on top of.
That's not Jim Harbaugh's job. That's just not something that I think that he's on top of.
Someone should be in his ear about that.
So, oh well. So that I'd like to give them credit for that drive. That's a huge response of a drive. And then Nebraska, basically from the same spot they scored their first touchdown, runs a play action running back shark wheel where Hutchinson is blowing up Martinez as he releases it. And again, the safeties and the linebackers have their heads in the backfield off the action, and he slips in behind. One of those plays that is beautifully designed, but you have to have time to get it off, and they barely had enough. They got it off. I was screaming for a holding. There was a bad call by me. It was not a hold. You're just begging. You're begging for anything at that point. And then, scary boy hours, the end of the third, Cade throws his first pick in collegiate football.
And this is when
it gets scary, because the whole joke, not joke, but just kind of like stat people laugh at, like, oh, the only teams that haven't trailed in college football this year, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama. Nebraska punches it in, and they take the lead, and they're winning now. So now you're trailing. And I will say this, you guys would like this. The play that they scored to take the lead was straight out of like a Michigan State, Michigan football game, where it's this like 3 guys in motion pre-snap. Not really, because that's a flag. It should have been a flag. You said the illegal formation. But he takes a step back. This guy just leaks. He does like a motion to the quarterback and then pops back out. And Martinez just lofts his ball like 7 feet high.
Beautifully.
And no one's on this guy. And I can just envision like a former Michigan State fullback scoring this play, like Connor Hayward. And just
Trayvon penalty.
In the end zone, Nebraska's going crazy. They went for 2, and they get it, which is just even more devastating, because now a field goal only ties it. And then you set yourself up. They go to the fourth quarter. They do this crazy red light show thing. I saw some behind the scenes that Michigan was bouncing around to that. So that was good to see. It wasn't a one-trick jump around pony. They still did it when they're down. And then to be honest with you guys, this game was such a blur. There's the Eric All play. There's the 3rd and 8 clear out.
Really questionable throw. Oh, that was awesome.
Those are defensive offsides. Those are super nerve-wracking when there's a defensive offside and your team takes a deep shot and you're just like, let's make sure they were offsides, because if that was a turnover, that's going to be really bad. Corum breaks a big run, huge for him. He had a nice game. I missed the corn celebration live, but that's pretty sweet that you're just eating corn right there. And then a fluke play for the ages. I remember Alex was just like, Alex, I'm not going to lie, that triggered me when you're like, oh, that's just such bad luck. When Martinez is scrambling, throws it, goes through 22, Jamon Green's hands, and falls into the tight end's lap for Nebraska, and he gets
30 yards.
Like 30-yard gain. Did they score on this drive?
Yeah.
A touchdown?
No.
Yeah. 29-26 with 7 minutes to go in the fourth. Alex Gillen's prophecy is unfolding before our eyes.
Nebraska takes the lead late in the game with 6 minutes.
And then Hassan Haskins has the nuts to jump a guy on like a 10-yard run that turned it into like a 40-yard run. It's one of those smoother hurdles I've ever seen, where he landed and like kept going at the same speed. There's a 3rd and 9 for Michigan. Did they get it? They did. They ran the check down tight end play that we discussed. You know, the little delay. You find the guy, makes a play.
Fourth
and then
time.
A 3rd and 12, no good. So then Moody comes in, bangs it, 29-29. And then this, I guess, is where the game really happens. Evan, you had a funny text today that ended up being jinxed because the Lions lost.
Thanks
but
a lot.
The shaking hands of Martinez fumbling the game away and Madison fumbling the game away. 2 things on this play. Unreal play by Brad Hawkins. I said his name earlier for stopping Martinez on 4th and 2. He basically just stood up Martinez. Now, nitpickers could say that forward progress was stopped. But I thought he was still kind of turning the legs.
I'll
there.
go nitpicker. Yeah,
I thought it was stopped.
They could have stopped that.
That's a 3rd and 1. He's still moving the pile.
He was up a
They
lot.
never blow the whistle early in any sport that you're watching. They never do.
Like, for example,
They're pretty much taught.
we saw today in the Lions game that Madison kind of looked stopped, and he scored a touchdown on that play. Like, he got shoved into the end zone to score. So
It's a little different on the goal line, but yes, sure.
So stands him up and just rips the ball and recovers it himself. And then second unreal was Alex Gillen with the best ball call I've ever seen.
Balls out.
In my
I
life.
screamed it. I knew it.
There was a wall of bodies. I was like, oh, he just got stuffed. Here comes the progress has stopped whistle. And then he's like, ball's out. And I'm like, what? The ball's out? How? Picks it up. You're like, oh my God, is he going to score it? No, he gets tackled.
Grant was fully buzzed at this point. He could not see the ball out.
Could not see the ball out. Was screaming, oh my gosh, ball, score. Again, which we'll nitpick again. When you get a turnover, guys, in another team's red zone, you have to get 7. Michigan is not able to get 7. They get 3. So bad again. And then Nebraska goes on their potentially game-tying or game-winning drive.
Did absolutely.
And Daxton Hill just made another great play on their final effort and taunted a kid. But, in that moment, taunt all you want. So Michigan pulls out a scary win, a much-needed win to stay undefeated. I think my only main takeaway, like X's and O's.
Your
like,
only.
My main. I said my main.
Said your only main.
My only main.
Got it.
My only main takeaway is that I was impressed that Michigan was able to lean on Nebraska and really pound the rock at will when they wanted to. And I appreciate they did not abandon the run game when they got behind and leaned into the run game. And I think that's what saved this game. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know Corum and Haskins both had nice days on the ground, and their yards per carry averages were very solid. So, again, the woes of McNamara happen here and there, but he's not done anything to lose the game for Michigan. And it was very impressive against Nebraska's talented defensive line to, 21 for 123, 6 yards a carry, long of 50, 2 touchdowns for Haskins, 13 carries for 89 yards, 6.8 per carry, long of 29 for Corum. So the offensive line, the running game, they leaned on Nebraska throughout the game. You could kind of, especially in the second half, there were some long sustained drives where they were just moving, like just Big Ten, bodies moving bodies in that game, and they pulled it out.
Let me ask you this, Grant. Who is RB1 going forward?
Blake Corum.
Now, let me ask both of you this question.
But again, like if I'm going to be like vanilla, it really just depends on the team you're playing.
No explanation required.
I like giving an explanation.
Kenneth Walker, Blake Corum, or Hassan Haskins?
Okay.
I'll take Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you did. Yeah, Kenneth
I
Walker's
just see
better.
this on our Twitter. All these Michigan fans trying to go the other way. I just don't see how.
No, Kenneth Walker is like Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum made a baby. It's like he's fast and shifty, and he's also like
the best
strong.
back in the
No, I'm doing actual attributes. He's strong and also shifty and has bounce. So he's like a mix of the two. Yes, he's better than both.
Got it. Just making sure. My only takeaway from this game is Nebraska continues to find ways to lose games.
Yes,
So
they do.
they had that one. They had the one against Michigan State. They just can't figure it out.
My biggest takeaway coming from this is Scott Frost not knowing his offensive system after 4 years. Refused to run the triple option that he ran against Michigan State and had success against it. He ran it a couple times, had success against Michigan with it. And I don't know why he thought this game, Adrian Martinez is going to be a drop-back passer.
Stunning. Nebraska stuns you every week.
I wrote down one big point and it said Adrian Martinez had to run more to win that game, and they just didn't enough.
Yeah, I agree. I will give a little credit. It seemed like we talked about the whole Mike McDonald, what was their scheme be? Like he came from Lamar Jackson in practice. What are they going to prioritize? It seemed like they prioritized making sure Martinez could not get the big runs on the speed options. Like, especially with Hutchinson, they had him perfectly play Martinez head up and also like a little shade the inside, because you know how speed option quarterbacks love to fake the pitch and then dart inside for yards. He played those perfectly, and so a lot of the big plays on the speed options were when they actually pitched the ball to the pitch man. So that was a good defensive scheme-wise, but survived it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of coaching moments into the bye week for Michigan. But now let's transition to Q2. So, some big picture questions here, even some midseason awards. Would you guys like to go first for your midseason awards? We'll do those first, or would you like me to go for mine?
Depends.
Okay.
You're going to be... You got a lot of information to hand out?
No, I'm going to go flying faster.
There you go first.
Okay. So...
You want me to ask you the questions? So then...
Yeah, like who is... Yeah.
Okay. Who is the Michigan team MVP?
Team MVP through Michigan through 6 games, 6-0. I would say is Aiden Hutchinson. I would say he is a game wrecker, a guy that when you're on offense, an offensive coordinator, you have to game plan around. You have to make sure we have, whether that's be, as Evan points out, like you have guys that chip him. You have you don't get to put your running back out on a swing route because you need him back to block. And I also am going to take that MVP approach as most valuable in the sense that I think he's like the biggest team leader and like locker room encourager. Like you saw the emotion of him and Harbaugh almost like banging heads after the game. Like they're just squeezing each other's skulls. Like let's effing go. Like huge win on the road at Nebraska. So I think just his energy, his charisma, his leadership for Michigan.
Who is Michigan's best offensive player?
Best offensive player is Blake Corum. I was gonna do like a cop out and just say
Teaser, Evan. I was already asking.
I was gonna do a cop out and say like the whole offensive line, which I think actually might be rightfully so.
Dumb answer.
I can't just give it to. I'm gonna give it to one. I'm gonna say Blake Corum because I was not banking on him coming into the season being this good.
Michigan's best defensive player. I think this is
best defensive player. Now this was the caveat that. I would like to propose the rule that you cannot overlap. So even like you could say Aiden Hutchinson here, but I'm going to say Daxton Hill because I am not going to overlap. So Daxton Hill has been Michigan's best defensive player. Evan is audibly.
It's okay, Evan. We're doing it together. We'll figure it out. Under the radar player so far this season.
Under the radar player, I think you saw this in the Rutgers game, is Josh Ross. Josh Ross, stalwart linebacker, number 12. He got a shoulder injury in the Rutgers game. When he left, things got a little bit looser in the middle. And then against Wisconsin and now Nebraska, been making a lot of plays. And everyone seems to be on the same page on defense.
What's your favorite play of the season so far for Michigan?
Favorite play?
It's obvious.
Oh, now I'm nervous.
It's obvious.
Oh, no. Is it recent? Is it recency bias?
Grant, you say your
but I mean, still, it's the highlight of like.
Say it.
I'm going to say best play as in not most important. Coolest was Daxton Hill's pick.
Would not have. Okay. Best uniform.
I just thought that was an unbelievable play.
I'm going to help all Michigan fans and say the favorite play was Haskins jumping over, hurdling a grown man in open field and continuing to run.
Was that what you have said?
I would have went with that.
Or a JJ throw.
Or a JJ touchdown. Because I'm a troll.
It's Haskins.
I'm just
like,
trolling.
You got to combine, like, okay, as a fan, like, you were not in the stadium, so you got to carry their favorite play is at the call, too. Sean McDonald's call on that run was electric.
Plus,
I'm going to have to go listen again.
The game script, the tightness of the game, I thought that, Evans.
That was the biggest nuts play of the season and probably most important situation. But coolest play was Daxton Hill's pick.
Best uniform combination.
Would be the all blues against Washington.
Seems like an obvious answer.
Those are crisp. Okay, now for the Michigan State midseason awards. Drum roll.
How do we want to do this, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to have to pick somebody offensive. Yeah, go ahead.
The last 5 years, Michigan State has had no running game. I think the obvious answer here is Kenneth Walker's 7 yards per carry and nation's leading rusher. He is the team MVP.
Was that your answer, Evan?
I wrote that down before I knew that we can't overlap.
But we can find another offensive best player, Evan.
And I got the offensive best player.
Which is?
We brought stability to a position that's been lacking stability over the last couple of years. Right now, it's Peyton Thorne.
God, we're in stride right now.
The production at that value and somebody that you weren't expecting at the beginning of the year, and he's exceeded expectations by drastic amount.
We are walking in strides here.
Who is Michigan State's best defensive player?
Do you want to switch now, Evan? Do you want this one?
No, go ahead. It should be the same guy, and if it's not, then something's wrong.
I'm going Xavier Henderson, the quarterback of the defense. Leads the team in
tackling on defense, brings stability in the secondary. We give up a lot of pass plays, but, I mean, it's bend don't break defense right now.
And he's an excellent player.
Evan.
He has the catch of the year, so.
Evan, who is Michigan State's under-the-radar player?
Oh, I wrote 3 names down, but
I think
the first name that came to my head, I wrote down Trey Mosley.
That's deep under the radar. But I would agree.
He's got 20-plus catches, I think, for 300 yards solid. But it's halfway through the year, so if you 40 for 600, pacing it out, pretty solid. And at the beginning of the year, I said we needed a third wide receiver to step up, and he's filling that role better than I was expecting. And then a couple other names I wrote down, Darius Snow and Simeon Barrow for the defensive side, where Barrow's stepping in for big shoes to fill and Darius Snow's filling in that kind of roll down 4-2-5 safety.
Those are definitely deep under the radar players.
Evan went deeper than I would have.
You went very deep.
Did.
I would have went with Cal Halliday or Angelo Gross. Both.
Under the radar, you see those players often. You don't really see the production.
I think national-wise, they are probably under the radar players to us fans.
Hotel, Motel, Halliday Inn. Under the radar player. And the Sugar Weasel. Those are my 2 that came to mind.
Connor Hayward, maybe.
I'll let you guys both, since you guys are 6-0, what is each of your favorites uniform combos since there's so many?
Evan, you can lead.
Western Kentucky Gruff Sparty uniform combination, the white, green, white at home under the lights looked pretty sweet.
I liked the Northwestern combination. I believe it
white,
was
white, green.
White, white, green with the Script State helmet.
Only reason I didn't pick those is because I want the Script State to be a lot bigger.
I would say, it definitely needs to be bigger, but great first product.
I'm going to say my answer for when they break out the neons this year.
I'm going to say when they break out the all-black under the lights against Michigan on October 30th for Halloween.
That's no way to happen.
I don't think that's happening. I do think that we're going Stormtrooper helmets or Stormtrooper unis at Indiana.
Favorite play of the season? You guys can both give one.
I went more most important play of the season.
Loser.
Jaden Reed's punt return against Nebraska was... if he doesn't return that, the season might be going a lot differently.
My favorite play, recency bias, I'm doing Kenneth Walker's 94-yard touchdown against Rutgers, solely because, one, reason because it broke the record. 2, he's an electric. And 3, I called the play. After the punt went to commercial break and Luke and Jason was watching the game with, I said, can I just have a please Kenneth Walker 95-yard touchdown run or Jaden Reed flea flicker 95 yards? That's what Luke said, and I got mine.
Fun fact, not the longest run of Kenneth Walker's career. Wow. 96 at Wake as a freshman.
Wow.
Wake gave him up. Unbelievable.
The only asterisk I'd put, and I know I guess we could have easily gotten him in if we did best special teams player, I would think there's some argument to be made for making Jaden Reed the best offensive player over Thorne, but I understand quarterback is such an important position.
Without Thorne, Jaden Reed's not having the seasons he's having.
I don't know. I think Rocky could have hit Jaden Reed on some of these with how open he is. Jaden Reed gets open.
Nope. I refuse to believe that. So,
well, you're wrong then.
Okay, go watch Rocky against Toledo this week.
Rocky hit Ricky White in game, so he could hit Jaden Reed on some of these. Jaden Reed's an offensive changing player, but again, I understand quarterback, very important position. Okay, now I had some big picture questions. You guys can sprinkle some in quickly here. These are more like Alex's, where you just kind of say them. You can give minor explanation or none at all. I just want to check in with my friends here. Are we all, as a group, enjoying this season enough? And I mean it not like a duh. Yeah, obviously it's fun to be 6-0, but do you find yourself nitpicking wins or not just soaking in the 6-0 when? Especially because last year was so bad for both these programs.
I'm finding it really difficult to soak it in. I don't know why. I'm struggling to enjoy it. I'm just waiting for the bad because of the last few years.
You're struggling to enjoy it because your expectations have changed after the first 3
It's really difficult. I still am not even
when we're this invested into a team, your expectations are going to change. If we're 3-2 right now, we're just praying we get to 6 wins and get a bowl game. Now we're 6 games in, we're bowl eligible, expectations have changed, everything we want is in front of us.
It's weird. It's a weird feeling. It's something that Michigan State fans have not experienced in the 4 or 5 years.
I'm trying to enjoy the best I can, and the tangible moment I had to myself when Michigan beat Nebraska was like, you know what? I haven't done it in a while. I'm going to go shotgun a beer and send it to my friends because I'm happy. I'm enjoying life at this very moment. It's something I did when my sport teams would win during quarantine. You celebrate a big college basketball win, Butler, Michigan, by a celebratory beer. I was like, Grant, last year was so miserable. Like, you think about laying on this very couch by myself watching Michigan get their doors blown off by Indiana after the Michigan State loss. Because personally, I was like, they lost to Michigan State. It's a rival game. They were supposed to win, but I'm going to give them a chance against Indiana. Do you beat Indiana? No, they got blown out. How miserable that night was, or when they got lost by like 25 to Wisconsin on national television in an empty big house. Like, how depressing. Like, I need to soak this in and enjoy it. And I don't think I soaked in and enjoyed the Wisconsin win as much as I should have, but I definitely enjoyed the heart attack that was Nebraska. So I'm going to do my best to enjoy it as much as I can. But it's going to be tough because Michigan plays a JV team in their next matchup, and then it's going to be hard to enjoy, I would say, the Michigan State game. Like, in the middle of it, it's going to be hell. And then after you either really enjoy it and tailgate, you enjoy it as much as you can.
I think what I'm waiting for is the big win. I know I will definitely celebrate whatever happens, the big win, if you beat one of the big three teams in the East. That is what I think I'm looking forward to.
Agreed.
I'm still waiting.
I think we've done a bad job of not just laying ourselves.
We're not appreciating what we've got, what's done so far, because we're looking
like Miami's a big win. Wisconsin's a big win. Michigan
both beat Rutgers. Can't get excited about
Rutgers, fine.
Nebraska.
Nebraska,
whatever.
We gotta get better at enjoying those.
It's the three teams in the East, and that's it. That's what we're looking to.
So Evan already basically answered this, and I think we'd all agree that expectations have changed when we were looking back on the season. Are we as a podcast going to agree that when we do our season wrap that we're not going to utter the phrase, well, they weren't supposed to be this good anyways? Is that excuse out the window? Are these teams established and we're holding them to a top 10 in the country team standard?
No.
Yes.
I will not say they will not. I will not utter the phrase. I promise you guys. Well, they won't.
I will utter that phrase. I will
not utter that phrase. I hate that we're ranked 10th right now. Hands up. I wish we were just unranked. I wish we could just come out. I don't like it for this team. I don't like it for all the Michigan State fans on Twitter because they're petty, and then we're just fighting back and forth with Michigan fans. I hate that we're ranked, but expectations have changed, and I will not say, well, we weren't supposed to be that good.
My expectations definitely have changed. I would just say that I need to still see it against one of those three teams. I'm always going to think that we should beat the teams we've beaten so far. That's just, that was an expectation. I think I said we would be 5-1 or 6-0 at this point anyways. So it still just comes down to those three games. Because we could lose all three and then we're 9-3, and that's still better than expected. So I'm not going to say they weren't supposed to be good. 9-3 is still very good.
So if they go, let's get in the weeds. If they go 9-3 and lose the big three, is it going to be I'm disappointed that this 6-0 team did not pull off an upset, or maybe they'll be favored in the 30th matchup, but did not win one of those games?
It's going to depend on how those games go. If you get blown out in all three of them, I would be very disappointed. If you lose on some,
I'm looking at two of the games that you
want to win. You should win one of them. I would be disappointed.
Okay, there we go. We yanked it out of them.
We've been able to win one of them in down years. You should be able to win one this year.
I love that. So I'm saying from my eye test, what I've seen, they definitely should win one of them, I would say. I mean, obviously anything can happen where they do lose all three. Michigan could lose all three.
You could somehow win all three. It's a crapshoot. We'll see.
Now, we already answered the Michigan best QBRB. Shout out to us for working that in. This is, again, some people might say this is an obvious question, the answer, but I was thinking maybe we need to just answer the obvious question sometimes so people out there that think differently than us at least know how we feel. So I pose the question, has Jim Harbaugh done enough already 6-0 to come back next year guaranteed?
No.
Yes.
Wow. I say
and
no.
It has nothing to do with the product on the field. It has everything to do with the coaching hires that he made.
And
this might sound stupid, but I think he completely saved his job of hiring your brand new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I feel like those players trust the new system and have energy no matter what. Their front four looked very good against Nebraska.
On your point,
I think it's completely different defense going forward with now that they have Don Brown's a very good coach, but he was stubborn in the way that he did things. And I think now this guy is adaptable. And then NFL, there's no stubborn coaches on the defense side because you have to adapt week by week. And I think Harbaugh saved his job solely by hiring him.
Damn, that's a great point. I mean, because now I'm thinking, like, obviously, usually when head coaches go, the whole staff goes. But, like, if someone was like, let's say they lose the big 3 games. Let's say it's 10-3, they win a bowl game. It's 10-3, but you lose to Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State, and you're
Close.
Yeah,
that matters. If you get blown out by Ohio State again, there's going to be questions.
Let's say it's it's a 1-possession game in the fourth quarter at some point.
10-3, Harbaugh staying.
But it's like, but even like that, you're making a good point. It just sucks how college football is. It's like, I would want Harbaugh gone at that point because I think the whole like mentality needs to change at the top, but I don't want the assistants to leave. Which they probably would. It's like, are you just going to bring in a head coach that's going to keep McDonald, Cleanscale, Bellamy, and Hart?
What could happen is Michigan could hire within.
Could hire from within, and Mike Hart's now the head coach of Michigan football.
Whoa, I wouldn't go him, but whatever. I think
for a while and insistence.
The biggest reason that
if we're going to do that, I would take him as the head coach if I had to promote.
That's early, but anyways, I would say the one reason that you could say he's done enough is just the culture has massively shifted. I mean, this team looks like they're having fun. You know, they're dancing around on the sideline. They're bought in. It's something I haven't seen in a while.
You don't have any bad energy on the sideline. Like, you don't have anyone quitting at halftime because they're not playing.
Telling everyone he's going to drop 50 on you next year for a different team. Shout out Joe Milton.
And to be honest, I think Jim Harbaugh doesn't really have his hand in that much to say on defense and offense. He has a little to say on offense, a little bit more, but defense, I think he can say something to the defensive coordinator and bounce back, vice versa.
You know what? I was thinking about this. Someone made a point that might be the biggest tip that Jim Harbaugh really has stepped away, even more so on offense than I think, is you don't see no fullback being touted around in Michigan anymore. And I feel like even if they didn't have a Ben Mason type, they would have found a way to make a kid into a Ben Mason because they've had remember Khalid Hill, just these big bruisers they love to put out there that don't really have a place in modern football.
Don't need them.
So that's good at least. But yeah, I mean, Evan makes a great point. It's I definitely don't think he's done enough to come back, but in a way you could argue with the hires he has because the assistants have so far through 6 games have been rock stars. So it's if you're losing them because of Harbaugh, then it's the trade-off. So that is a really good thing to ask yourself if you're a Michigan fan.
If you lose to Northwestern in 2 weeks, everything is completely different. Fire upon loss.
It's almost impossible to lose to Northwestern.
It really is.
That'll be the only time this season where I go full on fire head coach upon.
That would be worse than losing to Appalachian State, probably.
Dude, I wouldn't be shocked if Northwestern was yo, we got COVID, we're not showing up, and boom, it's a forfeit, and Michigan just wins automatically.
That just dawned on me. We haven't had any in the Big Ten.
COVID's over, Grant.
Right.
You simply just don't test, so you don't have to forfeit. That easy.
Did anyone think of any? Anyone have any other? We'll do the must-win meter for a national game later.
I have a question.
Does anyone, any other questions here in the Q2 report?
Well, no. Those, never mind. Too obvious.
Oh, Alex asked me an interesting question. I want to see your opinion, Evan. So I think the best way to phrase it is, he basically was getting to the crux of the question. Who's better, Peyton Thorne or Cade McNamara? And I told him Peyton Thorne. I would say.
But barely.
And I said, but not by a massive gap. This is what I would say. I said, and here's how I phrase it. Let's say Michigan was playing Ohio State next week or, I don't know, any of the weeks left. Where both teams are kind of at now. They're both playing their best football, in a sense. And let's say the spread is -7.5 with Cade on Michigan. If you put Peyton Thorne as the quarterback of Michigan, pretending he knows the system and that talent he's been on the team, what does the spread then move to?
I'd probably go as low as 5.5.
That's exactly what I said. I said he's putting Peyton Thorne on Michigan is probably will swing you 2 points in a massive.
But I think 2 points is a pretty substantial difference.
Yeah.
No, it obviously is, because 7.5 it means you're more than a touchdown favorite, but you get underneath that now it's lenient. Depends on who's home. You kind of give the home team automatically a 3-point advantage.
So I think this could be a spicy take. I think Peyton Thorne's significantly better than Cade McNamara. I think by a lot.
You think that spread would turn to 2.5?
I wouldn't go that extreme, but 3.5, 4.5. I think he's a lot better. And so, I think 3 points is a really.
I do think he's a lot better, but we're talking about spread wise. I think
spreads are hard, because I do think the playmakers are different on Michigan State.
I think his arm's gifted. He's gifted more, and he can move a little bit better, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you put Cade in Michigan State's offense, I don't know if he's executing.
I think we would struggle.
I don't know if he's hitting the same deep balls. I don't know if. But if you put in Peyton in Michigan's offense, I don't know if his full talent's going to be shown. He might look like Cade McNamara just because of what they're asking Cade to do.
Right. We also don't know what Cade would look like if they just let him throw the ball 50 times. So we have no idea.
Alex made a nice point, too, as well. I could see Michigan fans shaking their fists right now. I'd just say the obvious thing as well. Like what Alex touched on is like Michigan State's skill players are also phenomenal as well, and they give you better,
it's a significant
some more separation on their deep routes, so that could help a quarterback as well.
Michigan doesn't have a Jaden Reed or Jalen Naylor.
Yes, Michigan State has a better chance if you throw a 15-yard pass to break it for a touchdown than, you had a 75-yard pass, but no, I really threw the ball 15 yards.
It helps your playmakers make a difference.
Q2 question, barring injuries, obviously, let's hope everyone's healthy as we get through the rest of the season. Does Kenneth Walker make a trip to New York City for the Heisman ceremony?
No injuries? I don't think he does.
Really?
It's Michigan State.
I don't think he does it still because of national media. If Christian McCaffrey can't win the thing, then I don't think a Michigan State running back will be able to be there.
I feel like buzz is growing, guys.
Currently, because Michigan State football just now jumped on the bandwagon, you're now seeing the movement for it. But throughout the rest of the year, I feel like it's a quarterback's race, and
I absolutely think if he continues and he's healthy the rest of the year, he would deserve to be in New York. Even if we were 9-3, say 8-4, worst case scenario, and he still ends up the nation's leading rusher, I think he absolutely deserves to be there. But it's Michigan. I've never seen a Heisman candidate in my life at Michigan State. Plaxico Burress and Charles Rogers had unbelievable seasons. They weren't not even considered. So I don't see it. We're not going to get the national love that if the same thing was happening at Michigan, yeah, I would say yes.
Thanks.
It's the brand, and if it's not a quarterback, you need the massive brand backing it, and we do not have that.
Okay, my last one. I think the best way to phrase this is both teams are in the top 10 now. I'm going to rattle off the other teams accompanying Michigan State in the top 10, and you're going to tell me if in a matchup against that team, we can do neutral site if you guys would like. That's probably a bowl game, maybe atmosphere. Is it a coin flip game at the minimum, or greater than 50% chance that Michigan or Michigan State beats this team?
Okay. We're talking about the current teams currently that they have rostered right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alabama.
No way. No chance.
We're talking about both teams or just our...
Both, I think, don't have a...
You can do both.
Both under 50% chance of winning.
Both Alabama's a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you're just saying below 50-50, which I agree, yeah. Georgia.
Below 50-50.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a 80-20 chance. That's a 20% chance you win that game. Georgia's superior than everybody else.
Iowa.
50-50.
50-50 chance.
Agreed. I go 50-50 for both.
The offense doesn't scare me.
Penn State.
No. 50-50.
Almost, I would say above 50-50.
Penn State's
without
Clifford darn good.
Well, if it's without Clifford, I would say it's 80.
I mean, if it's without Clifford, then it usually
50-50,
30 or 60.
I would go as far as 80-20, the way they couldn't move the ball. 50-50 Iowa. 60-40. Oklahoma with Caleb Williams.
Oof. 45-55.
60-40 in favor of Oklahoma.
I would say 55 in favor of Oklahoma.
I'll call it a 50-50 simply because I think that our teams in the state of Michigan could hang with them points-wise in the sense that, it also could change the game flow and really milk some long phone booth drives against them and shrink the game.
Maybe.
Cincinnati?
Above 50-50.
But very under the radar, very talented team.
They are a good football team. I'm still
Cincinnati shows up, their quarterback is better than probably only 3 other quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah, Cincinnati fans or national stands are just in our butts on TikTok. I'll say 50-50, but deep down I think it's 60-40. I mean, you're a group of 5 team.
55-45.
Ohio State.
Under 50. for both still. I'm not
150.
even close to it.
It's 70-30 in favor of them.
I'll flip-flop like a pancake like the seasons. I'll say it's not. It's less than 50-50, even though last week I was saying I'd expect Michigan to win if they play.
It's not looking attainable.
They did what they should do against Rutgers and Maryland, and now I'm starting to think they're riding into form, but I still have a close eye on C.J. Stroud.
Their defense is
Getting
not as good,
better every game.
but they can score with anybody in the country, and their wide receivers are the most talented in the country.
It's going to be tough to win a game 50-49.
And then lastly, I'll go Oregon.
I say 60-40 in our favor because they lost their best offensive player and their second best defensive player due to season-long injuries.
I'm also going 60-40.
Did not know that.
Oregon's quarterback is not that great either.
I'll go 55-45 Oregon.
You're way higher on Oregon than I would expect.
I didn't know that about the injuries, but
Their leading rusher, running back, C.J. Verdell's out for the season, and their starting safety who led the team in tackles or second on the team in tackles out for the season.
They lost to Stanford. They haven't looked impressive since the Ohio State game.
copy that. I'll keep my eye on them. All right, so now we'll switch to you guys. There's only one game to preview this week. Michigan's going to try to win the bye week. So hopefully that goes well for them. MSU -3.5 traveling to Bloomington, Indiana. Probably going to be a beautiful fall day on their beautiful campus. Over under 51.5. That is not a Big Ten football buffet. That's a little excitement in a matchup. What are you guys' thoughts going into this game with the Hoosiers?
I just did a deep film study.
Oh, go ahead first, Alex. Go ahead.
I just did a deep film study.
Did a deep film study on Indiana. I watched some games they played successful in, and some games they did not. I felt like watching that Indiana has better. I feel like their comparison is Rutgers, but they have better playmakers. They have a tight end that is going to cause us problems. I have a bad feeling about it. And then they also have some receivers that are significantly better than what Rutgers was dealing with. Quarterback wise, he's not that great. Michael Penix. He's also injured. He might not even play.
He's out indefinitely.
He's out.
When he came out the injury last week, it said he was out indefinitely.
He might try to play. I'm not worried about him. I thought he looked bad against Michigan State last year when we played him, and our team was terrible. He threw a couple picks. I think overall, my biggest thought is that Michigan State is still talent superior to Indiana, and they should still win this game. The environment in Indiana has been rowdy this year. That could be our first big rowdy road environment if they get up for their noon homecoming game.
No.
Another homecoming game, by the way, for Michigan State to travel to. This is not 2 in a row. So teams thought they were going to schedule us for their homecoming and win easily. Not looking that way anymore. And then my final thought is when I watched back the Cincinnati game, which Indiana was leading most of that game, and then Cincinnati ended up pulling away late. It looked like they exerted everything they had in that game, and then they followed up with Penn State and did score a point. So they look burnt out. They came off the glorious, magical season, and now they're just not used to losing. And I don't see Indiana bouncing back after the bye week. But I'm not predicting yet. I need Evan's hard-hitting analysis.
I am still nervous about this game. This is a hate Tom Allen podcast. I absolutely hate him. I think he's an overrated coach. But I think they're talented enough to give us problems. I don't like going down there at noon. I like a little bit better that Penix isn't playing.
He could be playing.
He's not. He's out indefinitely. He's not playing.
We'll find out tomorrow.
If he does play, hammer the over that he's throwing an interception because it's going to happen.
I would just say on that point, he is a terrible decision maker.
Out indefinitely is like the most scary sounding thing that actually means nothing that's thrown around with injuries. It just means like you're out for your unspecified amount of time.
I would also say if he is playing a little banged up, he's not that great anymore.
Who's their backup? Anyone know?
I was looking that up currently. It's loading. I gotta love ESPN, you know.
My only thoughts on this game, I'm a big visual guy. I didn't look at the stats for this. My only concern for a Michigan State fan would be if, I don't know how good their defense is.
It's not that great.
It's obviously not atrocious.
It's not that great. Penn State missed a lot of throws against them.
Okay, but Cincinnati was okay.
Cincinnati put up 30-something.
That's not bad. As long as you're not giving up 40 bombs to people.
Cincinnati was asleep in the first half.
Okay, so you're saying Indiana's defense is the worst defense of the Big Ten? What are you saying, Alex?
I'm just saying their defense is comparable.
I got the
to
stats
Rutgers.
for you. Here we go. Points allowed per game, Indiana's averaging 28.2, giving up.
That's
and they're
not
only
atrocious.
scoring 23 per game. Asterisk, they scored 6 points against Iowa. They scored 0 points against Penn State. Okay, but Big Ten opponents. They're only averaging 122 on the ground, only 222 in the air. But they're only giving up 128 on the ground and only giving up 223 in the air.
It's not atrocious.
I watched their defense. Cincinnati scored 10 points in the first half and then scored at will in the second half.
Okay, so you're saying Alex is down.
Their defense is no better than Rutgers. And Michigan State had no issues moving the ball against them. That's what I say. That is what I'll say.
I'm basically just my whole point was that I don't think Michigan State's going to hang 40 in this game.
I think they could.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to get through this, get to the point I'm trying to make. I would say the only thing that made me nervous as a Michigan State fan is I can envision a game where Indiana's offense is non-existent except for a few, 50 to 40-yard bombs to Hendershot and Freifogel, who are two solid receivers in the Big Ten.
They have another receiver that was kind of stealing the show over Freifogel.
Okay, so throw him in as well. So what I would envision is these tough contested catches over Michigan State's weakest link on defense, the cornerback position, where they'll just drive you crazy. It's why can't we stop this? And they're just even mossing people. That's what it's going to take from Indiana. It's going to have to be one of those hit big shots and get chunk plays, and that's how they stay in this game. Other than that, I don't really see how it's much of a game.
Yeah.
I don't think they don't have that Stevie Scott kid who's just going to run down your throat.
They have some talent. They have decent players.
We stole Mike Hart. They don't have
They're not phenomenal in the trenches. They don't get a lot of push on offense. They don't get a lot of push on defense. Their linebackers are good. I'll give them that. They're slow, but they're good.
I guess it comes down to how good is this backup quarterback.
I mean, their defensive lineman is leading their team in tackles, so 3 sacks.
There's a guy named that's the only guy that's passed. His name is Jay Tuttle.
Jack Tuttle.
Jack Tuttle.
He was 8 for 18, 168 yards. He has a touchdown and interception on the year.
44% completion percentage.
Yep, he's a junior from California, 6'4".
Big guy. Probably slow. But
good QB rating. I don't know how that works with the bad. He's 130 QB rating with bad completion percentage. So I don't really know what this QB rating stuff's about.
that's not really surprising.
His longest pass is 76 yards. That's
That probably boosted it quite a bit.
All right, yeah. So if they're hitting those downfield, then it could be a little scary. But I don't know. I guess we get into predictions and must-win meters.
Must-win meter. Let's start with that.
Must-win meter. It's a must-win because everything's in front of you. If you want the sexy matchup on Halloween weekend, it's a must-win. They're an inferior opponent, so it's a must-win.
You have to win for the podcast. You have.
You're more talented. You're 6-0. You can't be sleepwalking. Must-win game.
It's a must-win, and anyone on TikTok that's chill out with all these must-wins can kiss. It's a must-win football game. You don't lose.
Hey, low-key, those TikToks have been getting a lot of
I know.
$25K.
Yeah.
We beat our
With
account.
some interactions and everything.
Lots of comments.
If you want to be a part of the cesspool of college football debates, it resides on must-win meter TikToks from Shout Out Michigan Sports accounts. People just go after it.
Spicy opinions come on there. A lot of arguments with Michigan State fans. And some Ohio State fans popped in there.
But Indiana is a basketball school, and they're not even a good basketball school. They had one fluke COVID year where they looked good. You're playing Tom Allen, a hated coach by Evan. You have to win this football game. And anyone's oh, well, it's only a 3.5-point spread. Again, kiss my ass. You have to win this football game.
The 3.5-point spread also, Rutgers was 5. And I didn't like that either.
No, you hated that. You saw right through that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Vegas always knows.
No, they don't. This is another point where Vegas does not always know.
That's why you hammer it early before it rises, like Evan's done the last 2 weeks.
Yep. I definitely think that is a poopy spread.
I will take Michigan State 34, Indiana 18.
I would give you the must-win meter. Let's see. Trying to calculate how many points they're going to score. I'm going to go Michigan State 31, Indiana 20.
I'm going to say that the coaching is going to get cleaned up. Not going to have a slow start.
There's not as many bars to hit in Bloomington the night before.
No. The coaches and all the players are going to clean this up. 38-17. And I think they're going to cruise start to finish.
Wow. So are you going to go score on the first touch of possession?
They will score a touchdown on the first drive.
Oh, scripted plays. Jay Johnson, good night of sleep.
Yeah, they'll have it figured out.
Okay. Now, to close out the show.
The Bengals and the Lions.
Our favorite team nickname, the
Battle of the Jungle.
The Bengals and the lie downs.
The Bengals come to town.
Hey,
Speaking of the Bengals, so I don't know, guys. Again, Lions previews. There's no juice. I'll tell you this to your face right now. This is a must-win. And if you're like, Grant, I know a 5-team can't have a must-win. Kiss. If you don't win this game, 0-17 is a real possibility. And I'm worried they're not going to win this game because Cincinnati did just come off. They took Green Bay to the brink, right? Did they win?
They lost.
Lost. It was an all-you-can-miss buffet on field goals.
5 missed field goals in the last
2 minutes.
in OT.
Joe Burrow or Jared Goff?
Not even
Joe Burrow.
close.
All right, not even close.
Yeah, that one's not even close.
I might buy a Joe Burrow jersey. Guy's awesome.
Joe Mixon or DeAndre Swift?
Swift. I don't know. Mixon's a unit.
They're probably like the same guy, but probably Swift just a little bit.
I'll take younger.
Jamar Chase or Khalif Raymond?
I'll take
Dang, tough one there.
Khalif Raymond for sure.
What's any ideas on the spread of this game? Not that it really matters.
There wasn't one when I looked.
Bungles got to be like two.
I would say 5.5.
Away.
Home at
It's
Detroit.
away.
Like Bungles got to be 2.5-point favorites.
No, I'd go 4.5.
Oh, I'm gonna go Bengals. Yeah, I'll go 4.5.
Really?
I like 4.5.
I'll go Bengals 5.5 just to spice it up.
I don't really have any keys to the game, I'm just gonna repeat, figure out a way to get Hawkinson the ball. Use Swift earlier in the game. I mean, we're just a broken record. Maybe.
Will I watch? That's the biggest question.
Like Evan said, spread it out. Stop doing play action things where Jared Goff has to be mobile. On a later podcast, we can do Alex was asking me like who quarterbacks that are more or least mobile than Jared Goff in the league and how low does he rank. That could be a fun exercise.
He's bottom 5.
later in the year of starting quarterbacks. You've gotten to the point where will you watch the Lions game? Are they a watchable product?
Yeah, they're watchable. They fight. They're gritty. This game today stunk like let me tell you.
But with that all being said, up with 37 seconds left. So I don't know.
Must-win meter for me is expecting to lose.
No.
Can we go?
Yep.
You don't even
Yep,
post the
same.
Lions must-win
What's
meters.
the least one? Like,
The
we don't
Lions?
care anymore?
It's expecting to lose, I think.
Oh yeah, that's me down there on the bottom. I'm in the safe area.
I'll be expecting to lose said football game. I'm hoping that DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson have massive games for the team, of course, not for any other reason than that.
I hope it's a high scoring affair and like T. Higgins might have 4 touchdowns. That'd be kind of cool.
I would be
Maybe
all
Joe
in
Burrow
for
too. He might play.
Yeah, here's a fun thing for anyone that wants to watch Lions games. A key tip to make it more enjoyable. Like me, I started 5 Minnesota Vikings today in fantasy football. Find the other team, play their defense, play their kicker, play their backup kicker. Like just put all your chips on the other team, and then you can. Yeah, well, it wasn't all.
And if
bad.
you're just a Lions fan in general, play fantasy football because that's all you have.
Sure. But guys, seriously though, if you're expecting to lose the Bengals, I go back to the question: 0-17, more on the table now. Like, where's
You're
the win?
not going to lose 17 games.
Where's
we
the
are
win?
going to predict wrong.
The Lions coach is crying after 5. Where's the win coming?
It's coming. I told you it's coming. I said you will beat an NFC North team. Probably the Bears.
Probably.
Great,
I mean,
you're
the
not
Eagles
going to
look
lose 17
horrendous.
games in a row.
Didn't the
You're
Bears-
just not
Didn't the
going
Bears walk into Las Vegas
to. Las
today and
Vegas
drop
was
their?
fraudulent. They have their coach is under a lot of stress right now. Okay,
Guys, I'm actually worried about Jared Goff's health when we play the Bears round 2 after what I saw Roquan Smith do to several grown men today.
Well, you should
And
be
I was
worried
just thinking about how Evan saw him in a bar, and I would be so nervous to even walk around that man.
You should be pretty nervous that when Jared Goff has to go against Aaron Donald and he murders him over and over.
It's in LA. It's coming up too.
And over. And over.
If Frank Ragnar's not playing that game,
R.I.P. to the backup center. He's dead.
we have a backup right tackle that played defensive tackle in college. We have a backup center. And Vaitai is the worst $10 million of all time.
Is Sewell going to go back? He's back to right tackle now, right? Because he hasn't looked as good left tackle.
He's going back to right. And Decker should be back soon, right?
We're trading Decker. Do it.
All right.
Get his contract off the book.
No, we've hit all-time low.
We're throwing in the towel.
All right.
How about we just get Justin Herbert? Let's trade our whole team.
Could have,
and let's
had a chance to.
There.
I
was there. I said Justin Herbert would be better than Tua out of college.
I did say I wanted a quarterback, not Jeff Okuda.
I missed that. I said Tua, but my idea of drafting a quarterback was correct in that draft. But oh well, we're gonna draft
predictions.
We're drafting Malik Willis.
No.
Shut up, Evan.
Luka Grease.
Come on, give me someone fast and exciting.
Lion. No.
Stop.
Bungles. This one's going to be a crazy game.
Oh, stop.
Bungles 38. Lions 35.
Bungles 97. Lions -8.
Bungles.
What do you guys?
35. Lie downs 21.
I'll go Bungles 31. Lions 21.
I think the Lions are going to make the must-win graphic this week just because of...
Grant, have you watched the season? We go close game, blowout, close game, blowout. Close game!
No, but they're going to make the
Wow.
must-win meter graphic because we don't have another team to put on it. Except we are going to do one special thing for...
The TikTok fans are requesting.
I'm going to make a customized TikTok for one of our diehard fans who said, I know you guys are a Michigan sports podcast. Gee, what gave you that hint? But could you ever do a must-win for like the big national game of the week? Because I think they said they think it'd be interesting. Now, I don't really know the logistics of this. Do we just pretend like we're fans of one of the teams and say what we would think it would be for their program?
Let's just predict a national game. How about that?
No, I want to do the must-win meter.
There's not that many games.
I know,
Let's
this
do
week's
the
not
Giants.
good.
Pretty schnikey balls. Let's go Kentucky, Georgia.
Does this kid have one?
And let's pretend to be Kentucky. Let's go Kentucky,
That's
Georgia,
easy.
and pretend to be Kentucky.
Kentucky is just expecting to lose.
No.
Yes, you expect
I'll
him
go
to
a
lose.
different direction. Fire upon loss.
What?
Games stink like schneid.
If you're Georgia, then you lose.
Let's go Miami, North Carolina, and be Miami fans.
Oklahoma State's ranked 12th.
They haven't lost.
That could be a good game.
All right, Oklahoma State, Texas, as Texas fans.
Also,
It's
guys,
a big new kickoff.
are we in the trust tree?
What?
Have you guys been seeing what Xavier Worthy's been doing at Texas?
Don't really care.
He's balling out. He had a game at Oklahoma against Oklahoma. He did fumble a kickoff that cost him kind of momentum.
And then he came back and scored a sick touchdown and flexed on everyone in the stadium.
Yeah, but he is balling. Wait, did he commit to Michigan? Is this why
Yeah.
you're saying what he's
Yeah,
doing?
and there's rumors that our former recruiting coordinator who got a new job at Mississippi State may have been sneakily asked to leave, messed up enrollment numbers and recruited too many kids, and so they turned him away. Or there was also rumors that he wanted to early enroll and his high school credits did not transfer because Michigan's academic programs are so stingy and would not let him in. And he's like, all right, well, screw this, Sark's from Alabama. He was either Alabama or Michigan. Sark got the Texas job and said, you know what, I'll go to Texas instead of Michigan because Michigan won't let me early enroll. And boy, does it feel terrible, I'll tell you that, watching him play. He's so good. He's like, you just see kids, you see just athletes on the field, and then you just see him. I know, Alex, I'm going on too far, but it's depressing. Anyways, we'll go from the perspective of Texas. You just lost a devastating Red River game, and you're hosting Oklahoma State. What are you guys thinking? Big noon kickoff again.
Big new kickoff.
Alex?
Texas. It is a
Can I get it?
must-win meter for Texas.
Year one of Steve Sarkisian. I
True.
was going to go fire upon loss. However,
I mean, it's a must win, and it is not on the line, but it's at least more than halfway towards like fire somebody upon loss.
I'm saying fire ball boy upon loss.
Wow.
You can't
And
keep
if you're an Oklahoma
creeping
State
back and then
fan-
never be coming back.
Yeah, so really, if you're Texas, you don't have an actual legitimate win this year. You got blown out by Arkansas, and you blew a game against Oklahoma. It's going to be tough to bounce back against Oklahoma State, but it's a must-win. You got to put something on the board because then you're just playing Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, West Virginia, Kansas State. Those are easy wins potentially.
Baylor's really
It's
good.
not easy, but like if you win that, it's not like Texas is like good. Like it's just like they beat. I don't know.
Oklahoma State perspective, must win. But then again,
Sure.
they just cruise under the radar. I don't give a single poop about them. But their uniforms are sweet.
Yeah, great uniforms. Great uniform matchup this game is. All right, that's the show. Shout out MS on everything now thanks to Alex changing the TikTok to it. Like we said, we plugged it. Get your graphics, interact with us, like the photos, whatever you want to do. I don't care.
Just do something.
Shout out MS, retweet, like,
Comment.
comment.
Get mad.
I like comments.
Start a debate.
They make
Say
a day-
something egregious.
They make work days go by faster. How to listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It's all audio only, but wherever you want to listen on those three, go ahead and do so. Please rate and review, leave a review, 5 stars, send the link to a friend, whatever you'd like to do, discuss it. And then, again, questions like we did with Q2. If you have any questions like that about anything, send them, DM them, ask them in replies of tweets or whatever. Just be like, hey, I had thoughts on this. Our Instagram comment from Jack asking if the Lions secondary is the worst in the league. We'll get to it. We'll answer it. So just let us know. With all that being said, also, again, obligatory plug. We do have merch still available on CODESAPPAREL.com, codesapparel.com. Woodshed merch, Shout Out Michigan Sports merch, other area code Michigan merch, potentially more.
Buy some merch.
Coming variety merch down the pipeline.
Merch.
We'll see what's in the works.
Joe
Anyway.
Burrow merch after this week.
Okay. With all that being said, cheers to episode 41. And my side cheers is I'm getting excited butterflies to see Cade Cunningham play regular season basketball. And we don't talk about them on the podcast, but I'm just going to throw it out there.
Cheers to hockey being back next week.
To
Go Red Wings.
Lucas Raymond.
Yeah, he better make on the Red Wings.
I don't have a cheers, I guess. You guys did a great job. Cheers to those.